Chapter 5781. The demon summoning scripture kept running. An endless demonic energy appeared, trying to shroud Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The dragon scale blade grew out of his body and merged with the great dragon sword soul. He became one with the sword and slashed. The demonic energy filled the air, and the black tiger rolled. With the sound of ice melting, the great dragon sword was extremely sharp and began to gradually destroy the demonic energy. Lin Xian not only destroyed the demonic energy, but also destroyed the demon summoning scripture. He wanted to be completely separated from the demon summoning scripture. This process was very slow. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. During these 3 months, the people in the universe were extremely frightened. They discovered that another shocking battle was taking place. Immortal energy and moist energy were fighting, and extreme weapons were colliding. Were the two great emperors fighting? They were all crazy. The two people fighting were naturally the demonic shadow and the green-robed great emperor. The two fought for 3 months and destroyed many planets. The more the demonic shadow fought, the stronger he became. He had the sky-swallowing jar, which could swallow the power of those planets and turn it into his own. The green-robed great emperor was gradually suppressed. He was going crazy. Is this demonic shadow going to revive? He shouted angrily, "You are not a shadow. You are the demon emperor. You want to be reborn with the help of the demon summoning scripture. You are too crazy." The green-robed great emperor's face turned ugly. He was a little scared. A dead person still wants to come back to life. What kind of method is this? The demonic shadow had already let out a cold laugh, which made people's hair stand on end. Green-robed great emperor, I will not die. Even if I have to reincarnate 100 times, I can still be reborn. You will be the first great emperor I kill after my rebirth. The demonic shadow's voice made the green-robed great emperor's scalp tingle. He shouted angrily, turned his head, and flew toward the other side in the sky. He wanted to go back. This guy was too terrifying. He wanted to report to his ancestors that the demon emperor was not dead. The demon emperor was very terrifying and difficult to deal with back then. It was even said that the other party was extremely terrifying. Now, the other party wanted to come back to life. It was simply earth-shattering news. He couldn't stop it, so he must quickly report it to his lord, and let his lord use his supreme power to kill the other party. The demonic shadow sneered. While chasing, he absorbed the power of the universe. However, at this moment, his brows were tightly knitted together. He looked into the distance. Did he want to destroy the illusion demon scripture? Damn it. Green robe, I'll let you live a little longer. The demonic shadow didn't give chase. Instead, he turned back to search for Lin Xian. He swept through the sky with rolling demonic clouds. Finally, he found Lin Xian. In the next moment, he descended. The void around Lin Xian crumbled. Lin Xian also stood up. At this moment, Lin Xian seemed to have transformed into a peerless sword god. The sword in his hand was incomparably sharp. Most of the demonic qi in the surroundings had already been destroyed by him. What are you trying to do? Lin Xian looked at the demonic shadow and said coldly. That demonic shadow laughed coldly. What do you want? How dare you destroy the phantasmal demon crystal? Lin Xian's pupils dilated as he said, "This guy can already speak. This guy can't be the real demon emperor, right? What is your relationship with the devil emperor?" "I am the devil emperor." The demonic shadow said coldly. Lin Xian's face turned ugly. Could it be that the demon scripture can really exchange for a demon? And this demon was the demon emperor. Wasn't this demon emperor already dead? It was incredible that he could still come back to life through the inheritance of a cultivation technique. Fortunately, Lin Xian had started destroying the phantasmal demon crystals a few months ago. "Kid, don't worry, I won't kill you. I think you're very good. When you become a great emperor in the future, You'll definitely be a powerhouse. How about this? You don't destroy the illusion demon scripture and continue to cultivate it. When the time comes, we'll rule the world. With your trump card and the supernatural power I created, no one will be a match for you. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian frowned tightly. No, you can create a supernatural power. So can I. What I created is called the heaven-defying technique. I won't cultivate your illusion demon scripture. You don't have to persuade me. I have the great dragon sword soul, and I won't be affected by you. Hee hee, as expected of the dragon sword successor, your will is indeed firm. However, you're just 6-crown king. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you now? You have a lot of treasures on you. Hearing this, Lin Xian felt as if he was facing a great enemy. He gripped the immortal slaying sword tightly, and the power of the great dragon sword soul completely erupted. In that case, I don't mind fighting to the death. The demonic shadow looked at Lin Xian and didn't make a move. In the end, he nodded. You're really arrogant. You're the first one to be so arrogant in front of me. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Give me back my great destruction and the heaven-swallowing jar. This heaven-swallowing jar is very useful. I just recovered and need an extreme weapon to protect me. Why don't you give it to me? The demonic shadow's voice sounded. Lin Xian was instantly enraged. He opened Sword World and urged the great dragon sword soul and the immortal slaying sword to slash out. The immortal slaying sword was sharp, and the great dragon sword soul was invincible. The two worked together and slashed forward. The demonic shadow's figure flickered and dodged this attack. However, the entire universe seemed to be split in half. The demonic shadow's face sank. You dare to attack me? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Why wouldn't I dare? Whether it's Green Robe or you, I dare to contend against them. No one can block my Tao, and no one can snatch things from my hands and return them to me. The demonic shadow's eyes bloomed with an extremely terrifying light, but suddenly he seemed to sense a mysterious aura on Lin Xian's body. He exclaimed in surprise, "How familiar! What an ancient aura! It seems that you're not simple. Are you the chosen one?" Interesting, things were getting more and more interesting. He laughed loudly. Lin Xian's face was cold. He took out the jade pendant that Shin Qingqiu had given him. When the demonic shadow saw the jade pendant, his laughter stopped. You have this thing, too. Well, I'll give her face. I won't attack you. He waved his hand and threw the sky-swallowing jar over. I'll give it back to you. However, give this great spear of destruction to me. You have many weapons and don't need this weapon. How about giving it to me? Lin Xian thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, but I have to destroy the illusion demon scripture. Is that okay with you? I've already done it. You don't have to destroy it. I'll take it back. With a wave of his hand, all the demonic energy on Lin Xian's body disappeared and then poured into the demonic shadow's body. The demonic shadow roared to the sky. The demonic energy on his body surged and formed a demonic armor. In the next moment, he seemed to be a real creature. Lin Xian, right? One day, we'll meet again. I hope that by then, you'll have become a great emperor. Otherwise, I'll still attack you. After saying that, the demonic shadow turned and left. Lin Xian took back the sky-swallowing jar, and his face darkened. Did he leave? To be honest, he did feel like he was facing a great enemy just now. This demonic shadow was indeed terrifying. No, he should be calling him the Demon Emperor now. He didn't know if the Demon Emperor's resurrection was good or bad. At this moment, there was a rumbling sound in Lin Xian's body. Was he going to break through? Lin Xian was surprised. The illusion demon scripture had completely disappeared. Lin Xian was now cultivating the heaven-defying art. He felt relaxed all over. He was about to break through and become the 7-crown king. With a roar, Lin Xian turned around and entered the sword world to break through. Chapter 5782. A month later, Lin Xian walked out of the sword world. His eyes were bright as he unleashed his power. He looked up and roared, "This is great." He had broken through and become the seven-crown king. He was one step closer to becoming a great emperor. Furthermore, Lin Xian had decided that he would become the 10-crown king too. After witnessing how terrifying the 10,000 rock king was, Lin Xian became a great emperor. Lin Xian knew that the 10-crown king was a very magical realm. Only a few people could enter it. Those great emperors didn't even have the chance to become the 10-crown king. However, Lin Xian wanted to make it his goal. He knew that once he became the 10-crown king, and then a great emperor, his power would be terrifying to the extreme. He wondered how the deity ground was doing. Were Qingcheng and Ryu doing well? Lin Xian had stayed in hell for a long time. He decided to return to the path of immortality. Lin Xian flew into the sky with a pair of sword chi wings on his back and disappeared. When Lin Xian arrived at the deity ground, he sensed a strange aura. The atmosphere of the deity ground seemed to be many times more tense than before. Moreover, the people he interacted with seemed to be terrified. Lin Xian found a few people and asked. He found that the deity ground was different from when he first arrived. There were many battles, especially the battles in the last few months. They were even more shocking. An old man said to Lin Xian, "Young man, you just came to the deity ground, right? I'm afraid you don't know. A few months ago, a group of skeletons came from the 9 underworlds and came to the path of immortality. They had an extremely terrifying aura of death, especially the leader, the pink skeleton. He had the power of a great emperor. As soon as he appeared, he suppressed the world. Countless people prostrated. The surrounding clans and sects of the deity ground all came to worship him. The pink skeleton was called the Bone Emperor. After she arrived, she immediately searched for the dragon tribe. In the end, she found clues and went to the depths of the deity ground. Not long after, a battle broke out in the depths of the deity ground. There was the aura of a great emperor and the power of an extreme weapon. But what happened? No one knew. Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The Bone Emperor must have gone to seek revenge from the Dragon Queen. After all, a great emperor had been tricked by a bone dragon. Naturally, he would be displeased. He asked, "Senior, is there anything else?" The elder said, "Yes. Besides this army of skeletons, there are also a few great emperors. Everyone is going crazy." Some speculated that the martial monarchs had woken up from their slumber in ancient times. Furthermore, it was very likely that it had something to do with the Earth region. The reason for that was because the auras on their bodies were simply too terrifying. Apart from the white bones, there was also a person surrounded by imperial power, who also had the aura of the Earth. Apart from them, there was another person whose aura was extremely cold and gloomy. Lin Xian guessed that these two people should be the Yellow Springs Great Emperor and Ming Di. Previously, the three of them had been fighting in the Earth domain. However, because of his arrival, the Earth domain had changed. The two great emperors of the Yellow Springs sect and the White Bone Cave had nothing to worry about. They went to the deity ground to find more powerful forces. At this time, another middle-aged man said, "Besides these great emperors, there are some other shocking changes. I heard that a huge frog covered in blood came from the universe to the path of immortality. At that time, some people thought that it was a strange beast of heaven and earth and went to take a look. However, a drop of blood dripped from the frog. Millions of stars were crushed and endless mountains and rivers were shattered. Those who were heading forward were suppressed and turned into a bloody mist, Yun Luoer. The others didn't dare to go there anymore. It was said that the place where the blood dripped had already become a land of death. Lin Xian was surprised. This should be the green-robed great emperor. He was injured in the battle with the demon emperor. This demon emperor was really terrifying. He asked, "Did any demon clan members come?" "Yes," the middle-aged man said. "But who exactly?" "I don't know." He only saw a mass of demonic clouds flying quickly. Wherever it passed, everything was destroyed. Sure enough, they all came. Lin Xian said to them, "Thank you, everyone." He flew into the distance. Lin Xian first looked for Murong Qingcheng, Yan Ruyu, and the others. At the same time, he also wanted to go deep into the deity ground and tell his father the news of his success. However, the aura in the depths of the deity ground had become even more terrifying. It was most likely because a few of the martial monarchs had gone inside. Therefore, Lin Xian couldn't go in for the time being. He could only find Murong Qingcheng and the others. "Brother Xian, you're back." Murong Qingcheng, Yan Ryu Crimson Dragon, and the others all breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Lin Xian return. Several great emperors came with murderous intent, which made me very worried. Yan Ruyu's little face was a little pale. Lin Xian said, "They are all great emperors of hell who woke up hundreds of thousands of years ago. But don't worry, they are not here for me." Hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Then Lin Xian lived a leisurely life. Murong Qingcheng and Yan Ruyu accompanied him by his side. His days were very happy. A month passed just like that. After Lin Xian broke through, his cultivation level gradually stabilized. During this month, it was said that a great battle had broken out in the depths of the immortal path. There was even one time when Lin Xian and the others felt a monstrous aura from afar, as expected of a great emperor. He was indeed terrifying. Lin Xian frowned. He said, "We can't go deep into the deity ground for now, but I have to spread the news. Ruzalong, send people from the Divine Union to spread the news that Baian is in hell and that the operation has failed. The wider the better." Ruzalong said, "Leave it to me." The toad also set off. Not long after, the deity ground began to talk about the earth domain. "Have you heard? The great emperors of hell went there because of the childless sky steel. Legend has it that it was left behind by an ancient powerhouse of hell. It's very mysterious. I also heard that our ancestor is on the buy-in. He also sent powerhouses there, but they failed." "What? No way. How is that possible?" Someone said, "It's said that he's called the green-robed great emperor. He's the half-frog that appeared not long ago. If it's really the half-frog, then it's true. I saw him come back covered in blood. A drop of the great emperor's blood crushed millions of mountains and rivers. Those who watched back then all died. Countless people discussed, and the news spread further and further. In the end, it reached the depths of the deity ground. The green-robed great emperor was recuperating somewhere in the depths of the deity ground. This was because he knew that Mo Ing had also come to the immortal path. He didn't want to meet him. However, when he heard the news of his failure, he was furious. He was furious. Damn it, someone was framing them. If this news were to spread to the other side and to the Lord's ears, he would be dead meat. One had to know that he hadn't done well in the past and had been blamed by the master. Now he was trying to atone for his sins. With a sinful body, if he failed again, his fate could be imagined. Damn it, who was it? The green-robed great emperor thought about it and realized that it couldn't be those emperors. It was that kid. He thought of Lin Xian and gritted his teeth. That damned little thing. How dare an ant try to harm me like this? The green-robed great emperor was furious. Although his injuries hadn't fully healed, he couldn't care less. He immediately set off for the border of the deity ground, ready to kill Lin Xian. Chapter 5783. Through his investigation, he discovered that the demonic figure had already arrived in the depths of the deity ground. However, He wasn't with Lin Xian. This was a good opportunity to kill Lin Xian. If Xiao Chun killed Lin Xian, firstly, he could take revenge. Secondly, he could obtain a wordless heavenly steel. This way, he would be able to explain himself to his master. It was killing two birds with one stone. How could the green-robed great emperor miss this opportunity? He concealed his aura and moved quickly. The great emperor's spirit shrouded the area. Before long, he discovered Lin Xian's tracks. Little thing, let's see how you're going to die this time. The green-robed great emperor sneered and rushed over. Lin Xian was originally with Qingchen and the others. He was even prepared to rest. However, at this moment, Lin Xian's eyelids twitched violently. The reincarnation eye bloomed with a biting cold radiance. Qingchen was shocked. What's wrong? Brother Xian. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He walked out of the hall and looked up at the sky. The next moment, his expression changed drastically. Not good. His reincarnation eye pierced through the sky. He seemed to feel a boundless pressure pressing down on him. It even crushed the 6 paths of reincarnation. This power wasn't something a quasi-emperor could produce. It was a great emperor. It was the spirit of a great emperor. It was probing him. Only the green-robed great emperor would have such a strong murderous intent towards him. The other party was here. He had to leave quickly. Lin Xian tore open the void and wanted to leave. However, at this moment, a cold voice came from the void. Little ant, can you still leave? Boom. The power of a great emperor erupted instantly. The forests and mountains below were shattered, and the hall turned into ashes. The people of the divine union were alarmed. Many people instantly knelt on the ground, their bodies trembling. What was this? Murong Qingqing's expression changed drastically. A great emperor was attacking. Yan Ryu, Crimson Dragon, Hua Bai, and Susu all turned pale. Although they were strong now, they couldn't fight back against a great emperor. Lin Xian shouted angrily. He took out the heaven-devouring jar and covered the sky. A huge black vortex blocked the attack. At the same time, he said, Ryu, Qingchen, use your extreme weapons. The ancient desolate pagoda and the green lotus were also taken out. They blossomed between heaven and earth, and the 3 extreme weapons clashed against each other. The great emperor's attack shattered heaven and earth. The entire immortal soul realm shook violently. At this moment, countless experts within the immortal soul jade prostrated themselves on the ground. Some people were instantly torn to pieces by the residual power of this power. So terrifying. What happened? Was it the aura of a great emperor? Did a great emperor descend upon the immortal soul domain? That's impossible. Even though the immortal soul jade wasn't at the edge, it wasn't in the depths of the immortal land either. Why would a grand emperor be here? They didn't understand, but it really happened. After one strike, the green-robed great emperor was blocked. His face sank. When he sensed that there were 3 extreme grade weapons, his eyelids twitched. Little ant, you're incredible. You actually have 3 extreme weapons. However, I've really struck it rich. If I kill you all your extreme weapons will be mine. In an instant, he took out his own extreme weapon. It was a battle cloak. Although it was used for defensive purposes, it was able to enhance the Emperor Lord's strength and make him even more terrifying. Immortal chi surrounded his body, releasing the most brilliant aura. At this moment, the entire immortal soul realm was illuminated as if it was daytime. The light even made many boundary emperors close their eyes. They couldn't look directly at it. It was too powerful. Murong Qingqing's face was pale. Yan Ryu also took a deep breath. During this period, they had all had fortuitous encounters and became stronger than before. Even the veteran quasi-emperors were not a match for them. Furthermore, these quasi-emperors wielded peak-grade weapons. They didn't think much of the boundary emperors. But now, facing the half-frog, they were desperate. This was the great emperor. That half of his body was enough to make them tremble. One had to know that they had 3 extreme-grade weapons in their hands. If they didn't, they would have died long ago. Lin Xian's face was also ugly. Damn it, this half-frog is too despicable. He gritted his teeth and prepared to revive in the group and fight with his life on the line. Useless little thing. You seem to have used too many extreme-grade weapons before. I don't believe that you still have enough power. Even if you can fully revive, how long can you last? 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, or 2 years as a true great emperor. The attacks I unleash at any time are all top-tier attacks. Will you be able to withstand it? The green-robed great emperor sneered. This time, no matter how long it took, he would kill the other party. Damn it, this is too much. The crimson dragon roared. The toad also gritted its teeth. Damn it, the empress isn't here. Otherwise, I would have killed you with 1 slap. The green-robed great emperor stared at the toad. Seeing that you are of the same kind, I didn't want to kill you. However, since you are related to that snake, I can't let you live. When I catch you later, I will pull out your tendons and skin you so that you will never be reincarnated. The green-robed great emperor was very proud. He raised his palm high, and the immortal chi on it suddenly burst out. He launched a peerless immortal technique and slammed it down. It's over. Some powerhouses sighed. They had already retreated to a place far away. They knew that Lin Xian and the others were dead. It was too stupid to offend a great emperor. At the most critical moment, the sky suddenly broke open and an eternal light cut through the world. The green-robed great emperor's attack was blocked. He even looked up at the sky in horror. What is that? He retreated. Lin Xian and the others originally wanted to revive their extreme-grade weapons. However, all of a sudden, they were stunned. The reason for that was because they discovered that the light was simply too terrifying. It was even brighter than the immortal light. The immortal chi on the green-robed great emperor was dimmed. What was that? The people of the immortal soul jade were terrified. Is another great emperor coming? The crimson dragon was also happy. Little Zhao, is it your father or that drunkard? Lin Xian was also tempted. Perhaps it was really his father or Lord Alcohol. However, judging from the aura, it didn't seem like it. The eternal light spun in the air and turned into a vortex. It was like the Milky Way, flashing nonstop. Then 2 figures walked out. As soon as these 2 figures appeared, their terrifying power crushed the 9 heavens and the earth. This aura was really that of a great emperor. However, Lin Xian realized that it wasn't his father or Lord Alcohol. It wasn't even anyone he knew. These were 2 new great emperors. Have they come? Are they from the Permitha realm? Because Lin Xian knew that the Permitha realm had the most great emperors. There were also great emperors in other places. However, they had all awakened from an ancient slumber. Moreover, there weren't many who had joined forces. If it was really the 2 great emperors from the Permitha realm, then this was really a hopeless situation. In the sky, 2 figures stood there like gods. The eternal light on their bodies slowly disappeared. The 2 figures looked down. Their gazes were vast like divine lamps covering the mountains and rivers below. Are they back? One of them, a middle-aged man, whispered to himself. As his voice sounded, everyone's soul trembled. I wonder if there's a mistake in the timing? The other old man also spoke. In the next moment, his soul covered the sky and earth, covering all directions. I can feel the aura of several great emperors. Looks like we've come to the right place. Chapter 5784. There was a great emperor here. Suddenly, the 2 of them stared at the green-robed great emperor not far away, and their eyes lit up. The green-robed great emperor was terrified. He only had half of his body, and there were two of them, so he was ready to run away at any time. "Who are you?" the green-robed great emperor shouted coldly. He had never seen these two great emperors before. "A little frog dares to be arrogant in front of us, not to mention that you only have half of your body." The middle-aged man looked disdainful. "You're courting death." The green-robed great emperor was instantly enraged, and his immortal chi burst out. Immortal technique, green field immortal trace. Countless green lights burst out from him, covering the sky and earth, and each of them was peerless killing intent. Divine power, clear sky hammer. The middle-aged man raised his right hand high, turned it into a war hammer, and fell down. The entire void was penetrated, and the green-robed immortal trace was sent flying. This hammer penetrated heaven and earth, and arrived in front of the green-robed great emperor, and sent him flying. The great emperor's blood dripped again, penetrating the immortal soul realm. The immortal soul realm was torn apart and shattered. Although the great emperor would recover with the magical power of the deity ground, those sects and families above the great emperor would not be reborn, and they all fell in this drop of blood. So powerful! The crimson dragon exclaimed. He injured that frog with one move. Let him be arrogant again. The toad also jumped up with joy. Lin Xian gasped. He had fought with the green-robed great emperor before, so he naturally knew how terrifying the other party was. Even if he held an extreme weapon, he couldn't hurt the other party. But now, the middle-aged man injured the other party with just a raise of his hand. This great emperor's strength was a little too terrifying. Damn it, the green-robed great emperor roared crazily. "Who are you?" Suddenly, he sensed the aura emitted from the eternal light. He exclaimed, "This is the aura of time. This is the power of time. You came out of the torrent of time. Could it be that you are?" He was really too shocked. He recalled some ancient legends. Lin Xian and the others were even more shocked after hearing this. The torrent of time? What time? The power of time? Lin Xian carefully sensed it, and indeed found that there was indeed the aura of time. He had once had 2 hourglasses of time, so the feeling was very similar. Were these two people from the past, or were they from the future? He wasn't too sure, but these two people were too mysterious. "Little frog, you have no right to question us." The two figures ignored the martial monarch in a green robe. They were staring deep into the deity ground. "I can sense the aura of the azure. It seems like there are already people attacking the azure. Let's go and take a look." The two figures communicated with each other. Then they tore apart the void and disappeared. The aura of the great emperor lingered in the 9 heavens for a long time, but it didn't disappear. Lin Xian's expression changed. Wasn't the upper heavens the place where his father, Lord Jiu, and the others fought? Were these two people friends or foes? He wanted to send a message, but it was too late. The emperor's speed was too fast. At this moment, the martial monarch in a green robe charged again. "That was just an accident. No one can save you. Little ant, I'll kill you today. You won't have a chance to rise again." Although the martial monarch in a green robe had been injured before, he still charged over. Lin Xian and the others' hearts sank again. "Damn it, this is too much." The crimson dragon gritted its teeth. "I really want to slap him to death." Lin Xian was also angry. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He rose into the air and said, "I'm going to go back in time and kill half of his clone. At the same time, I'll take it with me. That way you won't be in danger. Big brother Xian, I'll go with you." Murong Qingcheng and the others said. Lin Xian shook his head. "It's too dangerous. You should stay here and continue cultivating. Try to become the 9-crowned king as soon as possible." The crimson dragon jumped over and shouted, "I'll go with you. This guy is too evil." The toad also said, "Yes, that's right. Take me with you." The two of them flew over. Lin Xian said, "Okay, He led the two of them to the river of time. "Kid, have you chosen your tomb?" The martial monarch in a green robe sneered. "Don't even think about escaping. I won't let you and your friends go." Lin Xian came to the river of time. The river of time required him to use the power of time. Lin Xian had used it before, so he felt that he should be able to activate it. Returning to 100,000 years ago, Lin Xian decided to deal with the other half of the frog. At the same time, he said, "Green robe, do you want to fuse with your body? Do you want to know where half of your body is? Let me tell you, half of your body was once suppressed by the demonic palace, and I found it." "What did you say?" The green-robed great emperor was completely stunned. He stared at Lin Xian. "Kid, hand over half of my body." Although the green-robed great emperor was a great emperor now, he was still a little weak in the face of a real great emperor. Previously, he had been sent flying by the middle-aged man with a slap. That was because he only had half of his body. If he wanted to fuse with his body, his combat strength would definitely increase exponentially. At that time, who would dare to underestimate him? Who would dare to send him flying? However, he had never been able to find that half of his body. He had even traveled all over the universe, but there were no clues. But now, the little ant in front of him actually knew that he desperately wanted to catch the other party. Lin Xian laughed out loud. "How is it? Do you want to know? It's useless. Do you know why you can't find it? Because I used the power of time to send it 50,000 years ago. How could you find it?" "What? You sent me to the past." He didn't expect that to be the reason. No wonder he couldn't find any clues even after traveling thousands of mountains and rivers. He had returned to the past. He was a modern man. How could he find it? "Damn it, I'll kill you and then fuse with my body." The green-robed great emperor rushed over. Lin Xian was currently trapped by the river of time. He used the remaining power of time. He muttered silently in his heart, "Return to 100,000 years ago." Lin Xian's figure disappeared in the river of time. "Damn it, you can't escape." The green-robed great emperor also charged in. His huge body turned into human form. "Return to 50,000 years ago." It also disappeared. Had it left? The people of the immortal soul realm heaved a sigh of relief. The doomsday had disappeared, and they could continue to live. The people of the divine union were extremely nervous. Bai Susu said, "Even if we return to the past, Lin Xian won't be a match for him." Yan Ryu smiled and said, "Given his intelligence, he definitely wouldn't tell the other party the right time. I think he tricked the other party and sent him away. That way, he wouldn't be a threat to us." So that was the case. Boss Lin really put in a lot of effort. The people of the divine union were extremely grateful. Murong Qingqing's eyes flickered. How much danger will there be in returning to the past this time? Time was the most mysterious power. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. Would returning to the past and changing some circumstances trigger some karma? They didn't know all this, but she knew that Lin Xian and the others were in great danger this time. Chapter 5785. The power of time was incomparably mysterious. Everyone wanted to obtain it, but it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Now, the river of time was here, but it was a kind of power that was very difficult to control. The others in the immortal soul realm did not dare to go back to the past. Who knew if it was a blessing or a curse? Dying in the past was even more miserable. Even if they went back and came back alive, would there be an inexplicable blessing or disaster? Therefore, no one dared to go back. Lin Xian was also helpless. First, he was targeted by the green-robed great emperor. Second, if he did not go back, the others would be in danger. Therefore, he had to go back by himself and deceive the green-robed great emperor. He succeeded. The two figures disappeared in the river of time. The last bit of power in the river of time also disappeared. The feeling of taking care of the dragon emperor was truly unbearable. Lin Xian had gone back before, and even met the young dragon emperor. Moreover, there was a conflict. Of course, it was only for a short time. This time, when he went back, he felt the same feeling again. Time was really mysterious. After an unknown amount of time, it seemed like a second, but also like thousands of years. Finally, the dizziness disappeared. The surroundings were no longer chaotic. Instead, there was light. There seemed to be a vortex in front. After going out, it should be 100,000 years ago. Before leaving, he saw the green-robed great emperor also rushing into the river of time. He should have also left. In this way, Qingcheng and the others were not in danger. The laws of heaven and earth in the Jinxiu mountain range were very rich. In this mountain range, there was a Jinxiu palace. The palace was very beautifully decorated. This was the place where the Jinxiu fairy lived. However, at this moment, the Jinxiu fairy's situation was very strange. Her whole body fell there. Her eyes were blurred, and she could not use any power. Little beauty, I've been waiting for a long time these past few days. There was a figure in the Jinxiu palace. He was wearing a white robe with a moon pattern on the sleeve, flickering with moonlight. He had his hands behind his back, but his eyes were shining with a fiery light. He walked forward and said, "Fairy, from today onwards, you are mine." The Jinxiu fairy fell there, her face pale. She used all her strength and shouted, "Go away. Get out of my way. Do you know that? If you do this, you will completely offend Splendid Palace. So what? After the matter is settled, I think your Jinxiu Palace will have to agree even if you don't. After all, as a top-notch sect, the Splendid Palace's reputation was more important than anything else. If something were to happen to their fairy, I think they would lose all face. You're despicable." Fairy Jinxiu clenched her teeth. Ding Yuehua, however, burst into laughter. "Despicable? I'm despicable. So what? What's more, if no one in your Jinxiu Palace helped you today, could you have succeeded? You can only blame yourself for being too talented and being targeted by others." Ding Yuehua sneered as he walked forward. Fairy Jinxiu even had the heart to die. If she were to fall into his demonic claws, she would suffer a fate worse than death. She wanted to commit suicide rather than be captured by him. Right at this moment, a meteor suddenly appeared in the sky and flew towards Splendid Palace at an extremely fast speed. The meteor appeared extremely quickly and suddenly, in the blink of an eye, it had arrived at the palace. "Who is it?" Ding Yuehua roared angrily, turned around, and threw out a palm strike. The terrible power of the law condensed into a monstrous palm and slapped it out. He thought that it was a powerhouse of the Splendid Palace, so he didn't dare to be careless. Fairy Jinxiu also opened her eyes. There was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Has the elder come to save me? However, when she saw that there was a young man inside the meteor, she was stunned. She didn't know this man, and he looked very young. Is he from the younger generation? Can such a person defeat Ding Yuehua? Ding Yuehua was a terrible genius. Although his means were despicable, his strength was very powerful. When Ding Yuehua saw that it was a strange man, he also sneered. Then, with a terrible moonlight flame on his palm, he threw it out. This moonlight flame was enough to pierce through everything. This palm strike hit the strange man hard. Fairy Jinxiu was in despair. There's another innocent person here. However, she soon froze and widened her beautiful eyes. Even Ding Yuehua was stunned. This was because he found that the unique skill he was so proud of didn't cause any harm to the strange man at all. Instead, that unfamiliar man descended at an extremely fast speed, and with a boom, he landed on his body. Ding Yuehua didn't even have time to scream before he was torn apart and turned into a bloody mist. The whole Splendid Palace shook violently. The strange man fell to the ground, almost making the Splendid Palace crack. The surrounding array flickered to resist the impact. Outside, on a distant mountain peak, there was a figure riding a demonic beast. He looked at the Splendid Palace that was shaking and the corners of his mouth raised into a smile. This Ding Yuehua is really powerful. He actually made the entire palace shake. The corners of his mouth curled up into an evil smile. Obviously, he was also one of the planners of the previous conspiracy. However, he had been behind the scenes. He didn't know that Ding Yuehua had been killed, and the one who caused the shaking was not Ding Yuehua. It was a strange man who fell from the sky. However, the man suddenly appeared in the splendid palace, and the people outside didn't know about it. Fairy Jean Xiu was also stunned. Who is this strange man? How can he kill Ding Yuehua so easily? She was extremely surprised. Lin Xian was also dizzy at this moment. Just now, when he rushed out of the passage of the long river of time, he found that there were palaces and pavilions below. Moreover, someone was attacking him. However, in his current state, he couldn't dodge at all. He could only take the attack head-on. Fortunately, this attack was just an ordinary law, which couldn't break his defense at all. Therefore, when he landed, he killed the other party with the power of his physique. After landing on the ground for a while, he stood up, took a deep breath, and his body crackled. Then he looked around. Where am I? I wonder if I've returned to 100,000 years ago. He was puzzled. Suddenly, he found a woman lying there weakly next to him. Lin Xian turned his head and looked at her. What a beautiful woman! He was surprised. She had an exquisite face and an exquisite figure. She could indeed be called a fairy. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, Fairy Jean Xiu was also nervous. Is this person a bad guy like Ding Yuehua? She was so scared that her body trembled a little. Lin Xian waved his hand and shot out a law, which shrouded the other party. This law had an extremely strong recovery power, which restored some of Fairy Jean Xiu's strength. Fairy Jean Xiu was surprised. This person didn't attack me. Is he a good person? She looked at Lin Xian, and her beautiful eyes flickered with a trace of light. After a while, she had the strength to stand up and bowed to him. Thank you for saving me, young master. Chapter 5786. Lin Xian nodded and looked at her with his rinnegan, which made Jean Xiu Fairy blush. She felt that it was a soul aura and wanted to explore. In that case, she would be completely seen through. So she blushed. Lin Xian said, "Don't think too much. I'll check your condition. I found that there is a poison in your body. If it is not solved now, there will be endless trouble in the future." Jean Xiu Fairy probed with her soul, and her face also turned cold. Damn it. It was this poison that made her powerless. Just now, she almost fell into eternal damnation. Thank you for reminding me. I'll ask the elders to refine some pills to detoxify me. Lin Xian shook his head. Don't bother. He raised his hand, and a stream of sword chi shot into her body. The invincible power destroyed the poison. Try to sense it, Lin Xian said. Jean Xiu Fairy sensed it, and her beautiful eyes widened. The poison is gone. Was it destroyed by the sword chi just now? She couldn't block this poison with all her strength before, but now the young man in front of her solved it with a gentle wave of his hand. This young man's strength is too terrifying, isn't it? Thank you, young master. May I know your name? She had never heard of such a terrifying genius in the Great Xia dynasty. Lin Xian told her his name and title. Jean Xiu Fairy was also surprised. It turns out to be Lin Gongzi. Lin Xian asked, "Where's this place? What time? Is the Dragon Emperor still here?" Last time, when Lin Xian came back, he met the Dragon Emperor Long Xiaotian. So this time, he had to use him as a coordinate to judge the time. Fairy Jean Xiu looked at Lin Xian with a puzzled look on her face. Lin Xian didn't even know these basic things. Lin Xian was embarrassed. He said, "Fairy, don't get me wrong. I just came from a mountain and cultivated in seclusion for too long, so I don't remember some things." I see. Jean Xiu Fairy nodded. It was normal for some people to cultivate in seclusion for hundreds or thousands of years. Perhaps this was the case for the person in front of him. She said, "Lin Gongzi, this is the Jinxiu Palace, the territory of the Great Xia dynasty. As for the Dragon Emperor you mentioned, I don't know who he is. However, the current emperor was Emperor Xia, the Grand Xia Empire." Lin Xian was incomparably astonished. He had heard of this name before. Back in the true spirit world, the central continent had 4 dynasties. The Grand Xia Empire was one of them. They had also produced immortal emperors before and had supreme weapons. Who would have thought that the other party would have a great emperor 100,000 years ago? Moreover, the Great Xia Empire had been established after the Great Xia dynasty. It should be the Dragon Emperor's era. The 10,000 Dragon dynasty had just conquered a region. Now, the Dragon Emperor had not yet become the emperor. He asked a few more questions, such as about Long Xiaotian. This time, Jean Xiaoferi said, "Are you talking about the champion of the dragon transformation battle? He is very famous. Rumor has it that he might become a great emperor." So that was how it was. Lin Xian understood. This should be because the dragon transformation battle had just ended, and Long Xiaotian's name had spread throughout the 4 seas. Now, he was still some time away from becoming a great emperor. Lin Xian's mouth raised into a smile. "If I have the chance, I'll find him and beat him up. By the way, have you heard of the half-frog?" Lin Xian came this time to find the half-frog. Once he found him, he would find a way to kill him and make the green-robed great emperor unable to recover. But this time, Jean Xiaoferi shook her head and said, "The universe is too vast. I've never heard of the frog you mentioned." Lin Xian frowned. "That shouldn't be. That half-frog is also a half-step emperor. Many people should know about it. Could it be that something happened in the middle?" Lin Xian was not sure whether the half-frog was still hidden or suppressed. It seemed that he could only look for it slowly. Anyway, this time he would not give up until he found the half-frog. The green-robed great emperor was really too much of a bully. All of a sudden, Lin Xian's eyebrows twitched. He could sense that quite a few people were hiding and rushing toward the palace. He said, "Someone is coming. I'll leave first. I'll come to you when the time comes." Fairy Jean Xiu was also taken aback, and her face turned extremely unsightly. If Lin Xian hadn't appeared, she would have fallen into Ding Yuehua's claws by now. If other people from the Jinxiu Palace came, they would definitely see this scene. Even if she was a genius of the Jinxiu Palace, the Jinxiu Palace would definitely marry her to Ding Yuehua for the sake of their face. In this way, she would be doomed eternally, and Ding Yuehua's conspiracy would succeed. Just as she was thinking, someone rushed over. "Senior Sister Jinxiu, are you okay?" The leader was also a woman. Her name was Lu Li. She sneered in her heart. "Just wait and see. I'll let everyone see your scandal and drive you out of the Jinxiu Palace. Let's see how you can compete with me then." After she came with her people, she looked at the scene in front of her and was stunned. She found that there was no scandal as she had imagined. Jinxiu stood there with a cold face, but there was no one around. Impossible? Lu Li was crazy. She had discussed with the people of the Ding family before. Now, Ding Yuehua should have succeeded. But where was Ding Yuehua? Could it be that he had left? She searched frantically. Looking at this scene, Jinxiu still said, "Junior Sister Lu Li, what are you looking for?" Lu Li withdrew her soul and said, "It's autumn. Are you the only one here?" Jinxiu snorted. "Of course. Who else do you think is here?" She stared at the other party because when Ding Yuehua was arrogant before, he had said that someone from the Jinxiu Palace was secretly helping him. Now it seemed that this Lu Li was very suspicious. Moreover, her relationship with the other party was not good. The two of them were competing for cultivation resources. It could be said that they were at odds with each other. If she was unlucky, the one who would benefit the most would be Lu Li. In addition to the other party's actions, Jinxiu knew that it was the other party's doing. She said coldly, "Do you think there should be other people here?" She could also release a trace of the terrible law. Lu Li's face changed, and she said, "Senior sister, how is that possible?" Jinxia walked forward and came in front of Lu Li. A powerful force pressed down. Lu Li's face turned pale. She gritted her teeth. "What are you looking for?" However, there was a smile on her face. "We found that there was something strange here before, so we were worried about Senior Sister's safety and came to investigate. Now that we found that Senior Sister was fine, we left. Goodbye." With that, Lu Li quickly left with her people. However, she was puzzled. Where did Ding Yue go? On the mountain peak in the distance, the man riding the demonic beast also smiled. Lu Li has already left with her people. Next, he could go back and prepare for the marriage proposal. This time, his plan was really perfect. Thinking of this, he turned around and left. Not long after, he saw a figure flying out of the Jinxiu palace. He turned his head and looked. Who is it? He saw a strange man. At the same time, his pupils shrank and the demonic beast under his feet also roared. "Why do you have the bloodline of the Ding family on you? Have you killed someone from the Ding family?" He was really shocked. "Stop!" With an angry roar, he punched forward. In front of him, Lin Xian stopped and turned his head. A cold light appeared in his eyes. Chapter 5787. The power of the six paths appeared and enveloped the other party's fist. With a crack, the man's fist was shattered and a miserable cry was heard. Ding Fei's expression changed and it was extremely ugly. The other party was an expert. He said to the beast under his feet, "Attack together." The two of them turned into two streams of light and attacked the other party together. He did not believe that the other party could block two against one. Divine ability, flying flame meteor. A series of flames appeared in Ding Fei's hand, and the law on it was extremely terrifying. The beast under his feet spat out a terrifying demon, forming a killing force. The combination of the two was extremely powerful. However, Lin Xian was disdainful in the face of such an attack. He sneered and grabbed with his hand. The golden flame turned into a golden crow, spreading its wings and flying. Boom! The flying flame meteor was hit by the golden house formed by the 9 suns' divine fire and instantly cracked. The head of the monstrous beast was crushed by the claw. It let out a miserable cry and fell to the ground. 2 moves, 1 dead and 1 injured. Ding Fei was sent flying. He was so scared that he cried. His expression was extremely terrified. Was he defeated so easily? The other party was too strong. "Who are you?" "I'm someone you can't provoke." The power of samsara appeared in Lin Xian's eyes again, and he charged forward. The power had not arrived yet, but Ding Fei felt that his soul was about to shatter. At the critical moment, he used his life-saving trump card. He crushed a jade pendant, and a monstrous law enveloped him, forming a vortex and swallowing him. At the last moment, he was still hit by the power of samsara. He spat out a mouthful of blood, but his body also disappeared. "Kid, just you wait. This matter won't end like this." Looking at the disappearing vortex, Lin Xian was surprised. What a mysterious power. This should be the power of space. It's a little like the Gu family. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. How much power did the Gu family have 100,000 years ago? He was looking forward to it. He sneered and did not chase. In his opinion, the other party was just an ant. There was nothing to be afraid of. He had come here to find a half-frog, and he also wanted to see the world 100,000 years ago. It seemed that 100,000 years ago was also a golden age. There were many experts and geniuses. Did the Nirvana realm appear 100,000 years ago? Lin Xian looked around as he flew. This place was the true spirit world. 100,000 years ago, The Grand Xia dynasty was like the sun in the sky, powerful to the extreme. It was the overlord of the universe. Lin Xian kept flying. He wasn't unfamiliar with the true spirit world, but he had discovered that there were many places that were different from before. Of course, there were some forbidden lands that had existed since 100,000 years ago. There were also some that hadn't. Lin Xian discovered that the dragon veins in some places were extremely terrifying. He was delighted and prepared to go down and absorb some of the dragon veins' power. Lin Xian has the dragon soul and dragon blood. Absorbing the power of the dragon vein would greatly increase his strength. Now, he was already the seven-crown king. Perhaps he could use the power from 100,000 years ago to break through and become the eight-crown king. Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he flew towards the mountain range below. At the same time, he released the crimson dragon, the toad, and Whitey. The three looked around. The crimson dragon exclaimed, "Is this 100,000 years ago?" The toad also laughed, "I'm coming." His strange cry attracted the roars of countless beasts below. Soon, they entered a valley below. This was the place where the dragon veins intersected. "Let's cultivate here first," Lin Xian said. The crimson dragon was delighted. "What powerful dragon energy! Ben Huang is about to break through." He directly constructed a formation, and once again condensed the dragon energy into a point. They entered and began to crazily devour the dragon energy. In the vast mountains there were many beasts. It was even said that dragons existed here. Countless cultivators came here crazily to explore. They hoped to meet a divine dragon and obtain some dragon pearls. Of course, the depths of the mountain range were not accessible to those who were weak. However, this time there were three figures flying quickly. One of them was a young girl, and the other was a middle-aged man. They were imposing without being angry. There was also an old man following closely like a ghost. The young girl chattered and was very cute. The old man was silent, as if he did not exist. "Father, is there really dragon flame in the valley ahead?" the young girl asked. The middle-aged man said, "It should be. According to the information we have, the valley ahead is called the Dragon Valley. A dragon once lived there, so it is very likely that it has dragon flame. If I can get dragon flame, my strength will be able to improve further. Father, let's hurry before the dragon flame is snatched away by others." The young girl was a little anxious. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Don't worry, daughter. The dragon flame is in the depths of the mountain range. It is very dangerous. There are countless beasts around, and those who are weak can't come here at all." The group was very fast. Soon they arrived at the valley. Outside the valley, they could feel the terrifying aura of the dragon. The middle-aged man took a deep breath. His eyes were burning with passion. They walked in. When they first entered the ravine, they began to discuss among themselves. As for the middle-aged man, his brows were tightly knitted together. The young girl cried out in alarm. The scene around them was different from what they had imagined. There were dragon-shaped auras in the valley. They turned into dragon shadows, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, roaring at the sky. It was as if they had entered the dragon clan. Even the old man who had been silent all this time sucked in a breath of cold air. The scene was too terrifying. There seemed to be someone in front. The young girl suddenly realized that there was a young man standing in the illusion ahead. The surrounding dragon shadows seemed to still be on his body. Who was that? Was he someone from the dragon clan? The young man in front seemed to have heard the young girl's words. He turned his head and stared at her. At the same time, the surrounding dragon shadows whizzed over. The young girl was startled. The middle-aged man's face darkened. He threw out his shield and covered the young girl. The old man behind him said, "You are too presumptuous." As he spoke, he turned into lightning and rushed over to kill the illusions in the sky. A willow leaf saber appeared in the old man's hand. With one slash, the heavens and earth were split open. This old man was actually an extremely terrifying expert. The young girl saw this and breathed a sigh of relief. She knew the old man's strength. He was probably going to lose. However, the middle-aged man frowned. He realized that the man in front of him was too calm. He was incomparably calm. He had a feeling that perhaps the other party had a way to block it. Faced with this terrifying slash, Lin Xian raised his head. He waved his hand, and the surrounding solvent turned into a dragon head. He bit down. With a clang, the dragon head bit down on the willow leaf saber. At the same time, a body quickly condensed behind the dragon head. The dragon tail swung, and the old man was sent flying. Chapter 5788. That ghost-like elder flew back, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His body was split open, and blood dyed his battle robes red. The young girl cried out in surprise. Her eyes were wide open as she covered her mouth with her fair little hands. She was really too shocked. This old man was their protector. Along the way, they had encountered many strong beasts that were slain by this old man with a single slash of his saber. But now he was injured. The middle-aged man was also shocked. The elder beside him was a saber king. Six-Crown King had peerless saber techniques and terrifying strength. This elder was sent by the family to protect him, but now he was easily injured by a young man. How terrifying was this young man's strength? So strong. The black-robed elder's expression was grave. His hands were trembling. He said to the middle-aged man and the young girl, "Young master, I'm afraid we've met an expert. We have to leave immediately. You go first. I'll stop him." The middle-aged man shook his head. Perhaps he wasn't the enemy. Then he walked up. He cupped his fists and said, "I am Zhao Quan. We came here to search for treasures and unintentionally offended the young master. How should I address you? Where did you come from?" Zhao Quan was also very puzzled. In this area, he had never heard of such a terrifying young man. Moreover, there were countless dragon shadows circling around him. Could he really be from the dragon race? He had heard that an incredible figure had appeared in the dragon race recently. He had won first place in the dragon transformation trial. He was extremely powerful and was rumored to be the next emperor after the Summer Emperor. Even if this young man wasn't first place in the dragon transformation trial, he was probably a top expert of the dragon race. Lin Xian withdrew his palm. He stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the other party. He was shocked. This elder was Six-Crown King. The true spirit world of 100,000 years ago was indeed terrifying. One had to know that in the true spirit world he had lived in, even saints were hard to meet. Later, the world changed, and the Golden Age arrived. Many quasi-emperors appeared. And now, 100,000 years ago, Six-Crown King was actually in this mountain range. Thinking about it, this was also a golden age. No wonder people like the Summer Emperor and the Dragon Emperor appeared. "What business do you have here?" Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. "Young master, I heard that there are dragon demons in the Dragon Valley. We're here to search for them so that we can make ambergris." Zhao Quan smiled and said. The young girl beside him was stupefied. One must know that her father was the overlord of a region. Their Zhao family was even more terrifying. But now he was actually being so courteous to the other party. This was truly unbelievable. After hearing this, Lin Xian said, "There are no more dragon flames here. You guys can leave." "Who said that?" The girl stood up angrily. "We clearly saw that there were many terrifying auras of the Tao of dragons in the surroundings. There must have been dragons living here. How could there be no dragon flames? Shanshan must not be rude." Zhao Quan's face changed. This young man before him was extremely mysterious. If he were to offend the other party, the consequences would be dire. As he spoke, he stood in front of Zhao Shanshan. Please forgive me, young master. My daughter is too naughty. I apologize to you on her behalf. Lin Xian waved his hand and said, Gift, you don't have to. Just leave. All right then. Zhao Quan smiled bitterly. It seemed that he had to leave for the time being, because he was really not confident that he could subdue the young man in front of him. He could only turn around and leave with Shanshan and the old man. When they were about to leave the valley, Lin Xian suddenly said, Wait. Zhao Quan's eyes lit up. Could it be that the other party had changed his mind and wanted him to stay here? Young master, what's the matter? He asked. Lin Xian glanced at him. There was a light flashing in his right eye. Then he said, Stop absorbing the aura of the Tao of Dragons. You are not a member of the Dragon Clan. If you forcefully absorb it like this, I'm afraid it won't do you any good. Zhao Quan was stunned. Zhao Shanshan said, What nonsense are you talking about? Although my father is not a member of the Dragon Clan, he created his own peerless technique, the 7 transformation technique of dragon transformation. Every transformation, the bloodline becomes stronger. Moreover, it can also change one's own bloodline. Now, at the most critical moment, as long as you get it again, you will be able to truly transform into a dragon. After Lin Xian heard this, he shook his head. He could already tell that this skill was indeed amazing. For Lin Xian to be able to create a skill like this, it was truly rare and precious. However, this technique still had its shortcomings. After all, the other party was only a quasi-emperor. In addition, the other party had not completely transformed the aura of the Tao of Dragons into his bloodline. Some of the dragon's resentment had accumulated in his body. Once it exploded, it would probably be reflected on and completely destroyed. I've already reminded you. As for whether you listen or not, it's none of my business. Lin Xian waved his hand and let them leave. Zhao Shanshan said after Zhao Quan, and the others left. Dad, that guy is too arrogant. Zhao Quan said, Let's wait nearby for a while. When they leave, we will enter the valley. For the next month, Zhao Quan and the others waited here. A month later, Lin Xian and the others also came out. The crimson dragon roared, and the dragon's roar shook the sky. So refreshing, I'm the 6-crowned king. Ha ha! He was very happy. Lin Xian also raised the corner of his mouth. A smile. Although he did not break through, his strength had improved a lot. The toad and Little White also gained something. Let's go. They rose into the air and flew into the distance without hiding. Dad, they're gone. Zhao Shanshan looked at the sky and said quickly, Let's go to the valley. Zhao Quan nodded. They reached the valley at the fastest speed. The valley had become very quiet, and the surrounding phantoms of the Tao of Dragons had disappeared. Dad, let's look for Long Yen. Zhao Shanshan was ready to move, but at this time, Zhao Quan's pupils shrank, because he found that the entire valley shook violently and then fell apart. They were so scared that they quickly rose into the air. Zhao Shanshan was terrified. What happened? The black-robed old man walked out to investigate. The next moment, his body trembled. What's wrong? Zhao Quan asked. The black-robed old man said, Young master, this is the reason why the dragon veins below are broken. What does it mean that the dragon veins are broken? Zhao Quan frowned. Zhao Shanshan said, That's the dragon veins. How could it be broken? The black-robed old man took a deep breath, because the power of the dragon veins has been sucked dry. The 23 dragon veins were all sucked dry. Zhao Quan was shocked, and Zhao Shanshan was even more dumbfounded. They had never heard of such a thing. The black-robed old man said, It should be the young man from before. Zhao Quan frowned tightly. How could a young man do it? He could absorb so much dragon power, unless he was a member of the Dragon Clan. Zhao Shanshan was also stunned. Dragon Clan? Dragons are very terrifying divine beasts, and the dragon clan is even more mysterious and powerful. Shan Shan, when you meet him in the future, you must treat him with respect and don't offend him. Understand? By the way, you also fly into the distance. Elder, you guard him secretly. Maybe you can meet him and have more contact with him. Chapter 5789. Hearing Zhao Quan's words, Zhao Shanshan and the others hurriedly moved. In fact, he was also very curious. Who was the other party? In the sky, Lin Xian and the others flew. The Crimson Dragon looked around. This should be the central continent of the true spirit world. The central province of 100,000 years ago was truly vast. Compared to our time, it was countless times larger. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes and looked around. This world was both familiar and strange. He said, "Think about it. Is there any way to find that half-frog?" The toad said, "Is it already dead?" Lin Xian shook his head. "Impossible." The Crimson Dragon said, "No matter what, he is still a great emperor-level figure. I'm afraid ordinary people can't find him. Perhaps only a great emperor-level figure can find him, or an existence extremely close to a great emperor." After hearing this, Lin Xian raised his eyebrows. This statement was very reasonable. He said, "At present, I don't know how many great emperors have appeared. However, there should be a great emperor in the Great Xia dynasty. Other than that, there is the Thousand Dragons Imperial Court. Although Long Aotian hasn't become a great emperor, yet with his strength and talent, in addition, according to what we know, he will definitely become a great emperor. Therefore, these two people are very suspicious. Then, let's look for clues from these two people." With a target, Lin Xian and the others flew all the way. In front of them, there was a city, Daybreak City. This city, after 100,000 years, was not very famous. 100,000 years ago, it was a huge city. It was magnificent, and countless cultivators came and went. It seemed that time was really a terrifying power that could change everything. The group landed and prepared to enter the city. The huge city was spectacular, and countless people came and went. After Lin Xian and the others landed, they attracted a lot of attention. Some people even pointed at them. Lin Xian frowned. After listening for a while, he found that they were all pointing at the Crimson Dragon. Was this the dragon race? It couldn't be. It looked like a snake. Maybe it was a snake or an evolved flood dragon. The surrounding people were talking. The Crimson Dragon's face darkened. "You're the snake. Your whole family are snakes. I'm a member of the Divine Dragon Clan. I'm high and mighty. You ants are ignorant. Divine Dragon? Keep bragging." He had never heard of a mystical dragon. Yes, he only knew that there were some dragon tribes, but those who dared to call themselves divine dragons were too ignorant. The surrounding cultivators sneered. This made the Crimson Dragon even angrier. The toad also said, "What do you know? I'm also a divine beast. Come here and pay your respects to me." "Haha, a toad that can talk. This demonic beast is too interesting." The people around him burst into laughter. Who was it? He dared to speak ill of the Dragon Clan. At this moment, a cold snort was heard. Then, countless people shut their mouths. Right now, the Dragon Tribe was extremely powerful. The #1 fighter of the Dragon Tribe, Long Aotian, had won first place in the Dragon Transformation Trial. His future was limitless. It was said that under his leadership, countless experts of the Dragon Tribe made breakthroughs and became extremely powerful. There were not many clans or sects that could compete with the Dragon Clan. At this moment, were the people of the Dragon Tribe here? Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He originally wanted to find Long Aotian. Now that he saw the Dragon Tribe, it was really great. He looked ahead and saw a group of people walking over. Some parts of their bodies were covered in scales, and their auras were very terrifying. After seeing this, Lin Xian shook his head. It's just a flood dragon. They're not from the dragon tribe at all. However, the others were incomparably respectful. Even if they were not from the dragon tribe, they were related to the dragon tribe. They could not afford to offend them. 3 figures walked over and stood there. The aura on their bodies swept in all directions and suppressed everything. They were very proud and enjoyed the frightened expressions of the people around them. The leader of the group was wearing purple armor. He looked at the crimson dragon and said with a frown, "A snake dares to call itself a divine dragon. You're related to the dragon tribe. You don't know what's good for you. Hurry up and get lost. If you dare to use the name of the dragon tribe again, I'll make you wish you were dead." Hearing this, the crimson dragon was instantly angry. "I'm a divine dragon, and you guys are just little flood dragons. How dare you be arrogant in front of me with a little bit of the dragon tribe's bloodline? Hurry up and kneel down and kowtow to me." The crimson dragon's bloodline was very terrifying. However, the 3 flood dragons on the opposite side were angry. "Do you want to die?" The laws on their bodies burst out, and they were about to attack. Come, I'll teach you how to be a dragon." The crimson dragon soared into the air and was about to attack. The purple flood dragon roared, and more than a dozen figures came over from the distance. The number of people increased several times in an instant. The people around were talking about it. "It's over. This snake is dead." Yes, if he offended these flood dragons, he would end up very miserably. It was said that this flood dragon princess was favored by a strong master of the dragon tribe. Now, they were at the peak of their power, and no one dared to offend them. Everyone was talking about it, and they all felt that the crimson dragon was unlucky. The crimson dragon sneered, but he didn't care about it. Just a flood dragon. How arrogant can he be? Tisk, just when he was about to attack, there was another sound in the sky. Then Zhao Shanshan landed. After she arrived, she stared at the flood dragon clan and said, "Who dares to attack me?" "What a beautiful woman!" the people around exclaimed, and the flood dragon clan's eyes also lit up. "Oh, where did this fairy come from?" "Fairy, it's dangerous. Come to me, I'll protect you." Zhao Shanshan snorted coldly. "It seems that you really don't want to live." She waved her hand, and the totem pattern of the Zhao family appeared. She was from the Zhao family. Many people exclaimed, "Is she the little princess of the Zhao family? Zhao Shanshan? It should be her." Countless voices of discussion could be heard. The people of the Jiao dragon tribe were also frowning. The Zhao family was very terrifying. In the Great Xia dynasty, they were very strong, and the little princess of the Zhao family was even favored by the Zhao family. Therefore, they didn't dare to attack. The flood dragon powerhouse in purple armor said, "So it's Fairy Shanshan. I wonder why you stopped us?" Zhao Shanshan said, "You can't touch him. He is my friend. If you attack him, you will be my enemy." As soon as these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar. They all stared at Lin Xian and the others. They actually knew the little princess of the Zhao family. This group of people had an extraordinary background. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He naturally knew Shanshan. They had met before. Of course, only once. What? Now they were friends. It seemed that the Zhao family wanted to win him over. Why didn't they leave? Do they want to be enemies with the Zhao family? Zhao Shanshan snorted coldly. The flood dragon clan's people opposite her said, "Okay, today I will give face to Fairy Shanshan. Let's go." He waved his hand and led the flood dragon clan's people away. They were finally gone. Zhao Shanshan breathed a sigh of relief. Then she looked at Lin Xian and said, "I saved you. How are you going to thank me?" Lin Xian didn't speak. The crimson dragon said, "Little girl, you are meddling in other people's business. If you didn't come out, they would have been dead." Chapter 57:90. Zhao Shanshan rolled her eyes. She shook her head and said, The flood dragon is nothing to be afraid of. However, the Flood Dragon clan has a princess who married a real dragon, and the dragon clan has a promising future. If you offend them, I'm afraid you'll end up miserable. Humph, what's the big deal? The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. Isn't it just the 10,000 dragons' court? They were all destroyed by us. Zhao Shanshan shook her head. These people are crazy. How is that possible? Everyone knew how terrifying the Dragon Clan was. Lin Xian stopped the Crimson Dragon from continuing. Of course, these people did not know that the 10,000 Dragons' Court was completely defeated by him 100,000 years later. But now, the 10,000 Dragons' Court was still at its peak. He said, "Do you know anything about Long Ao Xiaotian? Tell me." "Of course I know, but you have to treat me to a meal. Let's go to the city." Zhao Shanshan led the way. Along the way, they talked a lot. Zhao Shanshan wanted to ask about the origins of Lin Xian and the others. However, she only knew their names. As for their identities and backgrounds, she knew nothing. This made Shanshan very depressed, and Lin Xian did not get much information. What he got from Zhao Shanshan was mostly about Long Xiaotian. How powerful, how genius, and how he shocked the world. However, where was Long Xiaotian? What realm was he at now? The other party did not know either. The Crimson Dragon said, "You little girl, you don't know anything, and you want to eat with us? Hey, you're too despicable. What do you mean by eating with you? I don't care." Zhao Shanshan was angry. No matter where she went, she was always surrounded by people. But now, these people were actually so rude. She was so angry that she left. "Ignore him. Let's go eat." Lin Xian led his people towards the imposing pavilion. A Bottle of Bright Moon. This was a very famous restaurant in Tianming City. It stood on the ground, and at the top of the 9th floor, there was a crescent moon blooming with mysterious light. Cultivators from all over the world had gathered in a Bottle of Bright Moon. This was the place with the best information. Lin Xian and the others found a place to sit down and began to gather information as they ate. Have you heard? Recently, the dragon folk had been on the rise again. Several experts had been sent out to challenge the Holy Lands and clans. This dragon clan was too terrifying. First, there was Long Xiaotian, such a terrifying top genius. Unexpectedly, the entire dragon clan had risen. Someone said, "It can't be helped. The dragon clan's bloodline is incomparably powerful and belongs to the top." Now that another person with the potential to become a great emperor had appeared, it was only natural that he would soar into the sky. However, wasn't the dragon race a little too high-profile recently? After all, the true overlord right now was the Grand Xia Empire. Were the dragons not afraid of being suppressed by the Grand Xia Empire? I think it's possible. Maybe it will happen in the near future. Most probably, the Grand Xia Empire wouldn't allow the dragon race to rise up so easily. Someone discussed. Although Long Xiaotian was terrifying, he was not a great emperor after all. He might be assassinated by the Great Xia Empire and die on the road to becoming a great emperor. Such voices grew more and more in number. Clearly, the Grand Xia Empire was also dissatisfied with the recent news. Who said anything bad about the Dragon Clan? Did they not want to live anymore? At this moment, a cold voice rang out in the restaurant. It even carried the aura of the Tao of Dragons. Feeling this aura, the surrounding people's faces changed. The Dragon Clan had arrived. They quickly shut up. A group of people walked over in an imposing manner. These people had a terrifying aura. Some of them were very familiar to Lin Xian and the others. They were the Jiao Dragon Clan that had caused the conflict before. However, this time, there seemed to be more people from the Jiao Dragon Clan. There were a total of 50 of them. After they arrived, they suppressed the heaven and earth. The leading man in purple armor said coldly, "How dare you speak ill of the Dragon Clan here? Do you want to die?" Everyone lowered their heads and remained silent. They could talk behind their backs, but they didn't dare to speak in front of the Dragon Clan. Humph! The rise of the Dragon Clan was unstoppable. No one could stop it. The man in purple said coldly, shocking everyone. Did this mean that the Dragon Clan didn't put the Grand Xia Empire in their eyes? They were shocked. Some people were angry, but they didn't dare to say anything. However, at this moment, a disdainful voice rang out, "How arrogant of you to talk about the Dragon Clan. You're just a little Jiao dragon. What right do you have to represent the Dragon Clan?" Everyone was shocked. This was a slap to the Jiao Dragon Clan's face. Sure enough, the Jiao Dragon Clan was angry. "Who is it? Get out here." They were murderous. What? Did I say something wrong? It was difficult for a Jiao dragon to become a true dragon in this life. The disdainful voice rang out again. This voice was naturally made by the Crimson Dragon. The surrounding people looked around. Soon, the man in purple's pupils constricted. He stared at Lin Xian and the others. "It's you? Damn snake. You were the one who spoke just now. We are Jiao dragons, and you are just a snake. Your bloodline is far inferior to ours. Why aren't you kneeling down and kowtowing to us?" A cold voice rang out. At the same time, they strode over. The surrounding people retreated one after another. Soon, Lin Xian and the others were surrounded. Who are these people? They are too bold to offend the Jiao Dragon Clan. Are they from the Great Xia dynasty? Maybe they are dissatisfied with the Dragon Clan's arrogance. Countless voices of discussion and speculation came. The others were afraid, but Lin Xian and the others were calm. The Crimson Dragon said, "What's there to be arrogant about? Kowtow to you? Do you think you are worthy? Not to mention you, even your Dragon Clan has to kowtow 3 times and 9 times to me. When they see me." Everyone went crazy. This was not only a slap to the Jiao Dragon Clan's face, but also a slap to the Dragon Clan's face. "What did you say?" The people of the Jiao Dragon Clan shouted angrily and murderously. Lin Xian said, "He's right. I'm not targeting the Dragon Clan. I'm talking about the Thousand Dragons dynasty. In front of me, they really have to bow their heads and submit to me." They were shocked that a snake said so and went crazy. How dare a human be so arrogant? Doesn't he know how to write the word death? ? You don't know what's good for you. Before, the little princess of the Zhao family protected you, so I couldn't do anything. But now you have completely challenged the Dragon Clan. Even if the head of the Zhao family comes, he can't protect you. Kill them for me. The man in purple waved his hand, and the 2 figures around him quickly moved. One of them attacked the Crimson Dragon, and the other attacked Lin Xian. Both of them were Jiao dragons. One of them reached out his dragon claw and grabbed the Crimson Dragon's head, while the other breathed out a terrible storm, sweeping toward Lin Xian. These 2 people were going to be unlucky. The people around shook their heads and sighed. The Crimson Dragon sneered, "You want to use your supernatural power in front of your grandpa dragon? You don't know what's good for you. I'll show you what a real dragon claw is." After that, his claw also clawed forward. Their claws collided in the air. With a cracking sound, the claw of the man from the Jiao Dragon Clan was broken. Not only that, but his entire body was also torn apart by the dark red dragon's palm. Chapter 5791. The Crimson Dragon killed the other party with 1 slap, causing countless people to exclaim. These people were shocked. This snake is too powerful. Why do I feel that it is even more powerful than a flood dragon? Is it a dragon? But I've never seen a dragon like this before. Countless doubtful voices sounded. At this time, the battle on Lin Xian's side was also over. Terrifying flames fell on Lin Xian's body, but it had no effect. Lin Xian took a step forward, and a dragon roar came from his body. Puff! This powerful force carried the terrifying aura of the Tao of Dragons. which made the powerhouse of the Flood Dragon clan kneel on the ground in fear, unable to resist at all. In the blink of an eye, the two powerhouses of the Flood Dragon clan were defeated so miserably. "Just the likes of you little ants are this emperor's match?" The Crimson Dragon sneered. The Toad jumped up. "Aren't you guys very arrogant? Why are you kneeling now?" The people of the Flood Dragon clan were shocked and then angry. What a strange pair of people. They attacked together. More than a dozen figures rushed over in an overwhelming manner. Come, Ben Huang will teach you how to be a dragon." The Crimson Dragon flew out, opening and closing wide, and every claw could send the opponent flying. As a result, those who came to Lin Xian's side were all suppressed by the dragon roar. On Lin Xian's side, a group of people knelt. Too weak. Is there no one powerful? Lin Xian looked up with a cold light in his eyes, and the power of the great dragon Sword Soul also emerged. The aura of the Tao of Dragons overflowed, and the people of the Flood Dragon clan opposite him knelt down in groups. They were shocked. "You have the aura of the Dragon clan. You are from the Dragon clan. Damn it, this is impossible. These people are crazy. They actually offended the Dragon clan. Now you know how powerful we are." The Crimson Dragon sneered. The others were dumbfounded. Did the Flood Dragon clan kick an iron plate this time? Is the other party really a dragon? They were surprised. The people from the Jiao Dragon tribe were terrified. They wanted to die. At this moment, two more figures walked over. A woman's angry roar could be heard. "Who dares to bully our Flood Dragon clan? She's the princess of our Flood Dragon clan." The people who were kneeling were overjoyed. They used all their strength to shout, "Princess, please save us. Princess, please help us." Lin Xian and the others turned around and saw two more figures approaching. It was a beautiful woman with a shocking dragon aura. Beside her was a man. This man had a pair of dragon horns on his head. He was a true member of the Dragon clan. Even the experts of the Dragon clan had come. The people of the Jiao Dragon tribe were overjoyed. They raised their heads and stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. "Let's see how you'll die later." After the Jiao Dragon Princess and Long Yun arrived, the atmosphere changed. There was a heavy pressure in the air. The Jiao Dragon Princess was furious. She saw many of the Jiao Dragons fall. "Who did it?" she roared crazily. It was him. Those who were kneeling couldn't stand up at the moment, but they all stared at Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. "Is it you? Tell me, how do you want to die?" The Jiao Dragon Princess walked over angrily. "A snake, pull out its tendons and skin it. As for this human, he would be a slave forever, never to rise again." In just a few words, she seemed to have decided the fate of others. "Just you, little Jiao Dragon." The Crimson Dragon swung its tail and slapped the Jiao Dragon Princess's face. The Jiao Dragon Princess was sent flying. Her hair was disheveled, and her handsome face was shattered. What fast speed! What terrifying strength! Countless people were shocked. The Jiao Dragon Princess was indeed angry. Her whole body trembled, and her eyes were burning. "A snake! How dare you hit me? I'm going to stew you and eat you." "Pah!" As soon as she finished speaking, the Crimson Dragon slapped her with its claws again, sending the Jiao Dragon Princess flying again. Blood dyed the sky. The people in the restaurant went crazy. It was said that the Jiao Dragon Princess was a proud daughter of the Jiao Dragon clan and was very strong. What? Now she couldn't fight back at all? "Stop!" Long Yun, who was beside him, also shouted angrily, "Who the hell are you?" He helped the Jiao Dragon Princess up and used his law to restore her appearance. At the same time, he stared at the dark red dragon. "I am a divine dragon." Long Yun of the Dragon clan frowned. "Which bloodline of the Dragon clan? Why haven't I seen you before?" The Crimson Dragon sneered. "Who do you think you are? Are you worthy of knowing me? You reckless thing, do you think you can pretend to be a dragon just because you have some strength? You are too stupid. Today I will teach you a lesson and let you know what a real dragon is. Long Yun took a step forward, and a dragon roar erupted from his body, shaking the 9 heavens. Everyone's blood boiled. Was this the bloodline of the dragon clan? It was really too strong. Dragons were originally standing at the peak of the world. Their bloodline and physique were extremely terrifying. This Long Yun was an expert of the dragon clan, and was even more terrifying. Big Brother Yun, help me teach him a lesson. The Jiao dragon princess shouted from behind. Long Yun said, "Don't worry, I will let them know the price." He walked forward, thinking of 1,000 ways to torture the other party to death. At this time, Lin Xian, who was beside him, frowned. "Dragon Clan, you're the only one who came? Forget it. Do you know where Long Xiaodian is? Who do you think you are? How dare you call the name of the number 1 expert of the Dragon Clan?" Long Yun was completely enraged. He turned his head and stared at Lin Xian. "Little human, go to hell." He sent a slap over. In his opinion, the Crimson Dragon might be powerful, but this human was not worth mentioning. His physique was not as strong as his, and his bloodline was not as good as his. If he wanted to kill the other party, a slap was enough. Lin Xian also slapped out. With a bang, Long Yun was pressed to the ground, and half of his body was shattered. He let out a miserable cry. Impossible? The Jiao dragon princess was scared silly. Long Yun's physique was so strong. How could this human resist it? Lin Xian sneered. "Just a Saint King. How dare you be arrogant in front of me? Impossible?" Long Yun went crazy. "What is your cultivation level?" "Great Saint." There was a great saint of the human race here. The others also exclaimed. To be honest, most of them were only at the saint level. The more powerful ones were the saint masters, but other than that, saint kings and great saints were not common. Now that a great saint of the human race had appeared, even ordinary great saints of the human race did not dare to easily offend the Dragon Clan. Could it be that the other party was from the Great Xia dynasty? Countless guesses rang out. "You don't have the right to ask me. Submit." Lin Xian's eyes bloomed with an extremely terrifying light. He controlled the other party's soul. Long Yun couldn't resist at all. The gap between him and Lin Xian was too great. If Lin Xian wanted to kill him, he could do it with a single look. In the next moment, he knelt respectfully on the ground. "Greetings, Master." Big Brother Yun. The Jiao dragon princess went crazy, and the people of the Jiao dragon clan were also dumbfounded. Such a terrifying expert of the dragon clan was suppressed just like that. "Get up and take me to the dragon clan," Lin Xian said coldly. Long Yun stood up and said, "Yes, master." He led the way. Chapter 5792. Lin Xian and the others left, leaving behind only endless shock. The people in the restaurant came back to their senses and exclaimed, "Too powerful." There was actually such an expert in the human race. He must be from the Great Xia dynasty. He was actually a genius who controlled the dragon race. It was over. The dragon race was angry. They would definitely not let him off. There were many experts in the dragon race now. Everyone was discussing animatedly. On Lin Xian's side, they were quickly on their way. Long Yun took them to a palace of the dragon race. It was a stronghold of the dragon race nearby. It was incomparably grand. There were many figures inside. There were dragons and flood dragons. It was very lively. These people had powerful auras. Compared to humans of the same realm and other clans, they were much stronger. This was the innate advantage of bloodline. "Young Master Long Yun, you're back." Someone below hurriedly bowed. "Young Master." "Who are these people?" They saw that behind Long Yun, Lin Xian, and the others were following. Long Yun asked, "Where's the palace, Master?" "In the main hall." The patriarch of the flood dragon race had come. Long Yun nodded and continued to lead Lin Xian towards the main hall. In this main hall, many people from the flood dragon race had come. They were holding countless gifts. Opposite them sat a man from the dragon race. Although both sides were great saints, the patriarch of the flood dragon race was obviously trying to curry favor with the other party. What the two sides were discussing was the marriage of the flood dragon princess and Long Yun. At this time, Long Yun walked over. The Cloud Thunder Palace master called out, "Long Yun, you're here. I was just talking about you." Even the flood dragon patriarch nodded with a smile. "Greetings, young Master Long Yun." Long Yun stood there and didn't say anything. This made the flood dragon race frown. Their patriarch personally greeted the other party, but the other party actually ignored him. This was too arrogant. Although they were the flood dragon race, the patriarch's status was extraordinary. The Cloud Thunder Palace master also frowned. "Yunner, don't be rude." However, Long Yun still stood there without saying a word. What was going on? This was too presumptuous. The Cloud Thunder Palace master was so angry that his face turned pale. At this time, a voice came from behind Long Yun. "He won't listen to you, because he will only listen to me." Lin Xian and the others walked out. "Who are you people?" When the Cloud Thunder Palace master looked at the other party, his brows were tightly knitted together. A snake, a toad, and a human actually dared to enter the territory of the Dragon Clan. "Men, where are the guards? Suppress them for me. Is this Long Yun crazy? How could he bring such an ant over?" The surrounding Dragon Clan guards rushed over, but they were all sent flying by a single punch from the Crimson Dragon. Over 100 figures were shattered in the air. The dark red divine dragon waved its hand and sealed the entire hall with a formation. The people of the Jiao dragon tribe stood up abruptly in fear. The pupils of the palace master of the Thunder Cloud Palace shrank as well. "This snake is so powerful. Who are you people?" he asked coldly. Lin Xian said, "It's someone you look up to. Tell me, where is Long Xiaotian?" "Audacious." The Cloud Thunder Palace lord roared in rage. Qin Wentian didn't know the difference between life and death. He blasted out with his palm, causing a thunderous boom to ring out. His palm turned into a cloud, with terrifying thunderbolts spreading over it. This was his unique skill. Everything that was enveloped by it would be destroyed by this force. How powerful! The people of the Flood Dragon tribe were shocked. Even the tribe leaders sucked in a breath of cold air. Although they were both great saints, the strength of the other party was much more powerful than his. This was also the reason why he had to curry favor with the other party. In his opinion, this young man from the human race was definitely dead. The Cloud Thunder Palace lord's palm slapped hard on Lin Xian's body. Around Lin Xian, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Great, he killed him with one move. The people of the Flood Dragon clan laughed. The Cloud Thunder Palace lord snorted coldly. "Such an ant dares to behave atrociously in front of me." The Dragon clan was indeed powerful. With such strength in the Great Saint realm, they were far more powerful than other clans. The sound of a bell rang out from the shattered void in front of him. "Why, he's not dead yet." The Cloud Thunder Palace lord's pupils shrank, and the flood dragons were also dumbfounded. In the next moment, they saw Lin Xian walk out unscathed. How is this possible? They looked as if they had seen a ghost. Even the Cloud Thunder Palace lord's expression changed drastically. He roared furiously and wanted to attack again. However, Lin Xian continued to walk forward, allowing the thousands of attacks to land on his body. But they couldn't tear open his defense. Lin Xian shook his head. "Stop struggling. A mere great saint is no match for me." "What? A mere great saint? Is your realm above the Great Saint realm?" He didn't dare to imagine. Above the Great Saint realm was the Quasi-Emperor. Was this human youth a Quasi-Emperor? In Lin Xian's body, the dragon soul sounded. Puff! The Cloud Thunder Palace lord spat out a mouthful of old blood. His body was torn apart and fell to the ground. He was terrified. This was the voice of a dragon. The power in the other party's body was even more terrifying than his. The other party was a dragon of the Dragon Clan. When did such a terrifying master come out? Lin Xian looked at him and said coldly, "Tell me, where is Long Xiaotian?" The Cloud Thunder Grand Sage was completely stunned. The flood dragons next to him all knelt on the ground in fear. "Help me!" The Cloud Thunder Grand Sage roared. In the distance, two figures rose into the air. They were the other two great saints. They had been cultivating in seclusion. When they heard the cry for help, they immediately rushed out. "Stop! Go to hell!" The two great saints were very fast. In an instant, they came to the top of the hall and slapped at the array. However, the two flew out like a kite with a broken string, vomiting blood. One of them shouted in shock, "What array is this? We can't break it." The other great saint also went crazy. "Who on earth is here?" In the hall, the people of the Flood Dragon Clan were dumbfounded. Two great saints working together couldn't even break the array? Who on earth are these people? The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord was all so desperate. Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Since you don't want to tell me, I'll collect your soul myself." He used his Rinnegan and enveloped the other party's soul. The Cloud Thunder Grand Sage let out a miserable cry. Before long, Lin Xian withdrew his gaze and frowned slightly. "Don't you know? This Long Xiaotian is really mysterious. Who is the senior?" The two great saints outside took a deep breath and asked with cupped fists. It seemed that the strength of the newcomer was much stronger than theirs. It was very likely that he was a terrifying old monster. Therefore, they didn't dare to make a move again. Lin Xian looked into the distance, stood with his hands behind his back, and said coldly, "From now on, the Cloud Dragon Clan will respect me." "What? Those people from the Cloud Dragon Clan are all crazy. They respect Long Xiaotian as their leader. Long Xiaotian was unparalleled in talent and would become the Dragon Emperor in the future. Their Cloud Dragon Clan would definitely soar into the sky. Now, it was impossible for them to respect the other party. Dare to resist? I'll give you a chance to choose. Those who resist will be like him." Lin Xian glanced over, waved his hand, and directly cut the Cloud Thunder Palace Lord in half. The Cloud Thunder Palace Lord died before he could even scream. The other people of the Cloud Dragon Clan felt their scalps go numb. A great saint was easily killed just like that. The other two great saints were also scared out of their wits. What kind of means is this? He killed the Cloud Thunder Palace Lord, as if he were cutting vegetables. Is the other party really above the great saint realm? Chapter 5793. We are willing to submit. The two great saints took the lead and knelt down in the void. If the other party wanted to kill them, it should be something that could be done with a raise of his hand. They had to submit. Lin Xian said, "Okay, listen carefully. Call me Dragon God from now on. Now I'll give you two tasks. First, find Dragon Xiaotian for me. Where is he? Secondly, gather resources for me. Gather all the cultivation resources for me." The people of the Cloud Dragon Clan began to move. The two great saints came to Lin Xian's side, their bodies trembling. Lin Xian looked at the two and said, "Don't worry, work hard for me. If I'm satisfied, I may let you break through again and become an existence above the great saint." "Really?" The two great saints raised their heads with fire in their eyes. Above the great saint was the quasi-emperor. However, that step was as difficult as ascending to the sky. They probably couldn't reach it in their lifetime. Moreover, even if it was Long Xiaotian, it was impossible to do it so easily. "Why, don't you believe what I said?" Lin Xian glanced at the two, and the two only felt that their souls were sucked into a vortex storm. It seemed that the other party could destroy them with a glance. How terrifying was this human? Why did it feel like he was Dragon Xiaotian? Could it be that another peerless genius had appeared in their dragon clan? Don't worry, Dragon God, we will do our best. Lin Xian waved his hand and asked them to hurry up and do their work. Lin Xian didn't stay idle. He went to many places, set up many arrays, and began to collect resources. At first, the Crimson Dragon and the Toad were puzzled. Boy, what are you going to do? Lin Xian explained, it's not easy to come to 100,000 years in the past. Don't you think we should make a good arrangement? Think about it. If an ordinary tree can grow 100,000 years in the future, how amazing it is. Let's prepare some resources now and preserve them well. When we return 100,000 years later, we will find that place and open it. Think about it. What kind of scene will that be? After hearing this, the Crimson Dragon and the Toad's eyes lit up. That would be a shocking wealth. Then what are we waiting for? Hurry up and arrange more, looking for Long Xiaotian. You can't kill him anyway. The Crimson Dragon also said, I think we'd better arrange the resources with all our strength. Lin Xian said, of course we need to set up resources. Moreover, we need to spread them out in many places. After all, 100,000 years is too long. No one knew what would happen during this period. Even if we set it up now, we might be discovered once we leave. Therefore, it was necessary to hide and disperse as much as possible. As for Long Xiaotian, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Yes, although he became the Dragon Emperor later on, I won't let things go so smoothly for him. Even if he couldn't kill him, he still had to severely suppress him and snatch more of his opportunities. Little White hurriedly looked around. Where was the treasure? The Crimson Dragon and the others began to act frantically. These people were all very strong. The Crimson Dragon became six-crowned king, and the Toad and Xiaobai became quasi-emperors one after another. After all, they stayed by Lin Xian's side and enjoyed too many resources, especially Little White. This little guy was very mysterious. Although he didn't usually fight, his strength couldn't be underestimated. These three people began to act frantically. The Crimson Dragon even set up a space transmission array. They had to gather as many resources as they could in the universe for themselves in 100,000 years. On the other side, the Cloud Dragon clan was also frantically collecting information. Soon, two great saints came to Lin Xian's side and said respectfully, Dragon God, we found some news. Lin Xian asked, is it about Long Xiaotian? One of the great saints said, Long Xiaotian's whereabouts are strange, and he seems to have something important to do recently, so he hasn't appeared. We don't know, but we did find out that there's another piece of news. It's about Long Xiaotian's Tao companion, Fairy Longyu. Longyu? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Isn't it just the Dragon Queen? The Dragon Queen from 100,000 years ago was very arrogant. She even went to Shenong to attack him. Now, he actually got the news. Long Xiaotian wasn't here, so Lin Xian had to punish Longyu properly. He asked, oh, where? Lin Xian was a little excited. Longyu Fairy would represent the Dragon Clan at the Chaos Wine Banquet. What was the Chaos Wine Banquet? The two great saints were stunned. You don't know? Lin Xian didn't explain, and the two didn't dare to ask again. They quickly told him about the Chaos Wine Banquet. It was a place of chaos discovered by the Great Xia Dynasty. They used the power of chaos to brew wine and hold a banquet called the Chaos Wine Banquet. This time, it was hosted by the 9th Prince of the Great Xia Dynasty. He invited all worlds to taste it. The Dragon Clan was naturally invited, but Long Xiaotian didn't go. He sent Longyu. I see. After hearing this, Lin Xian understood. He asked, is this 9th Prince the Crown Prince? That's right. The Great Xia Dynasty had 9 princes and 1 princess. So many? Lin Xian was shocked. 100,000 years later, he found that those great emperor families seemed to only have 1 prince. Okay, leave the news of the Chaos Wine Banquet here, and then you can leave. The two great saints put down a scroll, then bowed and left. After they left, Lin Xian asked, "DeLong, what's going on? Is there anything special about the Great Xia dynasty?" DeLong said, "No. Actually, a great emperor doesn't only have one descendant. A great emperor can have many. A great emperor could live for a long time. Even if he existed in the world, it would be 10 or 20,000 years. In these 10 or 20,000 years, if his descendants couldn't become great emperors, they would probably die one after another. And if a great emperor found that he had no hope of becoming an immortal, then he would probably use all kinds of methods. Therefore, the ones who sealed the surviving descendants and waited for the opportunity to come were either the youngest descendant of a great emperor or the most beloved descendant of a great emperor. As for the others, they might not be so lucky. They would turn into dust along with the passage of time. I see. After Lin Xian heard this, he also took a deep breath. Even a great emperor could only have one descendant? How cruel! Time was merciless. Shaking his head, Lin Xian didn't think about these things for now. He was ready to go to the chaos wine banquet. Long Yu represented the Dragon Clan. What right did she have? I want to represent the Dragon Clan. A cold light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. He sent a voice transmission to the Crimson Dragon, and the others, "Come back. I'll take you to see a good show." Hearing Lin Xian's next sentence, the Crimson Dragon and the others hurriedly used spatial transmission and jumped over. "Kid, is it true? There's news of the Dragon Queen. 100,000 years ago, we were fine. Can we torture the Dragon Queen?" The toad's eyes also lit up. Lin Xian waved his hand and said, "Let's go. Let's go to the chaos wine banquet." The group set off. They weren't the only ones going. Lin Xian had also brought the great sages of the Cloud Dragon Clan and some elders with him. Chapter 5794. The Chaos Wine Banquet was in a land of chaos. This place had the power to split the heavens and earth apart. It was very magical and countless people yearned for it. However, it now belonged to the Great Xia dynasty. The Great Xia dynasty had an emperor. Was there any land under the heavens that belonged to the emperor? Who would dare to fight for it? Even the dragon race, who was at the peak of their power, did not dare to. They could only be invited. Those who were invited this time were all big clans in the universe. Lin Xian flew along and met many people. He had seen these people 100,000 years later. For example, Feng Feng and the Holy Heavens race. There were also the ancient families and peerless sects that he had seen before. 100,000 years ago, they had all existed. Of course, not all of them. There were some that Lin Xian had never seen before. In the past 100,000 years, many families and sects had disappeared, and some new ones had appeared. However, the Great Xia dynasty 100,000 years ago had really surprised Lin Xian. Before Lin Xian, none of the monarch clans that he had seen had a great emperor. There were only extreme weapons and ancient scriptures of the great emperors. That was already an overlord that could sweep across the universe. Now that the Great Xia had a living great emperor, it was truly a great place to visit. After these ancient families and peerless sects came to the land of chaos, they became incomparably respectful. Even some of the monarch clans seemed to lower their heads when they came here. A living great emperor was really too terrifying in this era. It was enough to suppress everything. After all, this was different from the era when Lin Xian was in the deity land. In this era, there was only the emperor of the Great Xia dynasty. As for whether there were other great emperors, Lin Xian did not know. Perhaps they were in a deep slumber. Anyway, they did not appear. The 9th prince was the 9th son of the Great Xia dynasty. He was the youngest son and was deeply loved by the emperor. There were even rumors that the Great Xia dynasty would be handed over to the 9th prince in the future. Therefore, this time, all the clan of the ancients and the great sects sent their most beautiful young women to the palace of the gods. If any of them could catch the eye of the 9th prince, they would have a meteoric rise. Even the Dragon Clan had made such preparations. After all, although the current Dragon Clan was powerful and Long Xiaotian had unparalleled talent, no one had unknown abilities. No one knew if Long Xiaotian could really become the next martial monarch. Therefore, they had to make some plans. For example, the Dragon Clan had prepared many prides to stand out at the banquet. One of them was even Long Yu's younger sister. In the land of primal chaos, there was a majestic palace where the dragon race resided. One of them was a woman in a black dress. She was extremely beautiful, and her beautiful eyes contained a trace of coldness, as well as a trace of the dignity of a superior. The great saints of the Dragon Clan all lowered their heads before her. She was Long Xiaotian's Dao partner, Long Yu. She was also the Dragon Queen of Lin Xian's era. Beside her was a woman who looked very similar to Long Yu. However, she did not look cold and aloof. Instead, she looked lively and cute. She was dressed in green. Her name was Long Qing, and she was Long Yu's younger sister. Long Yu said, "Sister, when the ninth prince comes in a few days, you must interact with him well. If you can stay by his side, you will benefit greatly." The royal family of the Great Xia also has imperial dragon qi. After hearing this, Long Qing pursed her lips. "Sister, I don't even know who he is. I've never seen him before. Why should I stay by his side? Our Dragon Clan is pretty good. We are not worse than others. Moreover, brother-in-law's talent is unparalleled. After the great Xia dynasty, it will definitely be our world." What he said was true, but the reality was not so. The emperor of the skyscraper dynasty had existed for 15,000 years. According to the ancient records, it was at most 20,000 years. There were still 5,000 years left. Do you think he won't have any tricks up his sleeve? Will he annihilate our Dragon Clan before the immortals leave? Hearing this, Long Qing's expression changed. "No way." Long Yu shook her head. "No one knows the emperor's tricks, but don't worry too much. Brother Tian has already started to deal with this danger, and it is said that he has found a way to resist the crisis. However, we still have to make several preparations." Long Qing nodded, but still said, "Let's wait and see. If I don't have feelings for him, I won't sacrifice myself for the family. Don't think too much about anything else. As long as you dress up beautifully on the day of the banquet, that will be enough." While the Dragon Clan was making preparations, the other clans were doing the same. They were all waiting for the day when the banquet officially began. On the eve of the banquet, on the third day, Lin Xian and the others came. They were from the Cloud Dragon Clan. In the land of chaos, many people turned their heads to look. Someone said, "The Cloud Dragon Clan is not qualified to come here, right?" Some people shook their heads. The Cloud Dragon Clan alone is definitely not qualified. However, the other party is now one of Long Xiaotian's dragon clans. Therefore, he was definitely qualified to come. The Dragon Clan in Long Xiaotian's hands was getting stronger and stronger. Yes, the Dragon Clan in his hands was called the 10,000 Dragon Clan. It was said that he wanted to gather all the clans in the world and put all the Dragon Clan in the palm of his hand. When it came to Long Xiaotian, countless people were envious. Some of the older generation powerhouses also sighed. It was really a tragedy to be born in the same era as such a person. Long Xiaotian was very young. At the age of 2,000, he could already reach such a level. It was really shocking. Even if he had a great emperor now, Long Xiaotian could live for a long time. Therefore, in the future, Long Xiaotian was very likely to become a new great emperor. And in the end, the Dragon Clan would be the master of the world. Hearing this, the people of the great Xia dynasty were naturally dissatisfied. Some of the powerhouses and geniuses of the great Xia dynasty stared at the Cloud Dragon Clan with murderous intent and hostility in their eyes. The people of the Cloud Dragon Clan felt their scalps go numb. The two great saints were also facing a great enemy. To be honest, they had now pledged allegiance to Lin Xian. If Long Xiaotian knew, they would definitely be expelled from the 10,000 Dragon clan. At that time, they would suffer a disastrous decline. Lin Xian said, "Don't worry. Follow me. You won't be in any danger." Facing the hostile gazes around, Lin Xian was still not afraid. The people around were also surprised. Soon, they found Lin Xian and the others. They immediately exclaimed, "Who is this person? Why was he walking at the center of it all?" The people of the Cloud Dragon clan seemed to regard him as important. "Is he Long Xiaotian?" Some people exclaimed. Some young geniuses were puzzled. Some people said, "No, Long Xiaotian. I've seen him with my own eyes. Although the two of them are about the same age, he's not Long Xiaotian. He's very unfamiliar. I've never seen him before. Who is he?" A new genius of the Cloud Dragon clan. Countless voices of Tao and justice were heard. "You guys are really late. Aren't you afraid that Long Yu Fairy will be angry?" At this moment, a cold snort was heard. In the sky, there was endless thunder. The great saints of the Cloud Dragon clan were shocked. "It's the people of the Thunder Dragon clan. They're here to cause trouble." Chapter 5795. They were from the Thunder Dragon clan. The faces of the Cloud Dragon clan people turned ugly. The great saint quickly explained to Lin Xian. After hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It turned out that the two sides didn't see eye to eye with each other and fought openly and secretly. At this moment, the Thunder Dragon clan seized such a late opportunity and would definitely not let it go. Lin Xian said with a smile, "Don't worry. Now that you have become my disciple, I will naturally protect you. I don't take the Thunder Dragon clan seriously. Let's go." With that, Lin Xian walked forward. The people of the Cloud Dragon clan followed closely. They didn't pay attention to him. The people of the Thunder Dragon clan were angry. "How dare you not greet Long Yu Fairy after coming here?" The Thunder Dragon clan people condensed the laws on their bodies and turned into lightning, blocking the way. "What is Long Yu Fairy? Let her come here to see us?" The Crimson Dragon sneered. The Toad also said, "How dare you block my way? Believe it or not, I will stew you." "How dare you? What kind of demon are you? How dare you be arrogant in front of us? You are just a little toad. Who gave you the courage?" The people of the Thunder Dragon clan were all angry. The Toad jumped out. "I will teach you how to be a man." He slapped out his claws and knocked the few people of the Thunder Dragon clan to the ground. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people exclaimed, "The Dragon clan is actually in conflict. Interesting." "How dare you?" The first elder of the Thunder Dragon clan walked over and said coldly, "Watch me suppress you personally." He raised his palm, and the terrifying thunder turned into a pagoda and suppressed the Toad. This was a terrifying saint weapon, right? Countless people exclaimed. It seemed that the Thunder Dragon clan was angry. A great saint with a super saint weapon. That Toad was dead for sure. Not only that, I think this group of people are all going to be unlucky. The Toad sneered, "You, this piece of trash dares to suppress me. Watch my divine Toad fist." With that, he clenched his claws into fists and punched out. "Stupid thing." The people from the Thunder Dragon tribe sneered. The first elder's expression was one of disdain. He waved his dragon claw and brought the lightning pagoda down. A heaven-shaking explosion rang out as endless lightning exploded. The lightning pagoda was actually shattered into pieces and scattered all over the ground. The first elder's entire body was pierced through. The Toad retracted its claws and sneered. It was pitifully weak and couldn't even withstand a single blow. What was going on? The spectators went crazy. Their eyes were wide open. The people of the Thunder Dragon tribe were looking around. Where is the great elder? That was the great elder's shard. He was dead. Someone shouted, "Impossible! The Grand Elder was a great sage. How could he possibly be killed with a single move? Furthermore, he had a super divine artifact. The people from the Thunder Dragon tribe went crazy. They stared at the toad. What kind of monster was this? The toad spat out venom, causing the people of the dragon tribe to scream miserably. At this moment, the second elder walked over and roared, "Cloud Dragon Tribe, how dare you collude with the demon race? Do you really want to be enemies with Long You Fairy?" The people of the Cloud Dragon Tribe were also dumbfounded. At this moment, they couldn't speak at all. Lin Xin walked out and said, "Long You Fairy is just as a... If she dares to come, I will suppress her with one hand." "How dare you? Who are you?" The people of the Thunder Dragon Tribe stared at Lin Xian. "I am their new master. You can call me the Dragon God." Lin Xian's voice came out, resounding in all directions. The people around went crazy. "Dragon God? Isn't this kid a human? How dare he call himself the Dragon God? Is he here to slap the face of the Dragon Tribe?" Countless exclamations sounded, and the faces of the Thunder Dragon Tribe were extremely ugly. "Boy, don't run if you have guts. Just you wait." The second elder of the Thunder Dragon Tribe hurriedly left to find Long You Fairy. At this moment, in the land of chaos, there was a magnificent palace. The second elder walked over and exclaimed, "Long You Fairy, please save me." The second elder was stopped by the guards at the door. Inside, Long You Fairy was putting on makeup for Long Qing. Hearing this, she frowned. "What's the matter? Let him wait outside. I'm busy." Now, the most important thing was to dress up her sister Long Qing. Long Yu didn't want to care about other things. Being rejected, the second elder was dumbfounded. He could only grit his teeth. There are still 2 days until the Chaos Wine Banquet. At that time, I will definitely see Long You Fairy. He had been waiting here and didn't leave. On the other side, the toad was impatient. He sneered and said, "What, Thunder Dragon Tribe? Didn't they go to ask for help? Why didn't they come? I'm dying of laughter." The Crimson Dragon also sneered. "I think Long Yu is afraid and doesn't dare to come out. I knew it. She wouldn't dare to fight against us." One voice after another came out, shocking the people of the Clan of the Ancients and the great sections. Just who were these newcomers? How could they be so strong? Lin Xian spread his name everywhere. "From now on, I am the Dragon God. The Dragon Tribe will respect me." Crazy. The surrounding clans and sects were all crazy. Those who could participate in the Primal Chaos Wine Banquet were the best of the best in the universe. Their news was also the most up-to-date. They naturally knew that the current Dragon Clan was led by Long Xiaotian. Now, they had to respect this young man. Was this young man challenging Long Xiaotian? However, the other party looked very mysterious. He defeated the Thunder Dragon Tribe as soon as he came. Even Long Yu and the others didn't dare to come out. For a time, no one dared to challenge him. The people of the Grand Xia dynasty also secretly spread the news that the Dragon Tribe was done for. For a time, there was a lot of discussion. Finally, 2 days passed. On this day, the Chaos Wine Banquet would open. The surroundings were filled with multicolored light and chaos chi. Countless powerful people arrived. They rode on clouds and mist, riding on all kinds of saint weapons and demonic beasts. They were like celestial spirits. The people of the Grand Xia dynasty also came out. Prince Josie was wearing a dragon robe and had an imposing appearance. He had an unparalleled domineering aura. Beside him were the experts of the Grand Xia Empire. Like a myriad of stars surrounding the moon, they invited him to sit on the high throne. There were also many seats on both sides. They sat down according to their status. The closer they were to the Grand Xia dynasty, the more extraordinary their status was. Everyone took their seats. There was another place that was very close to Prince Josie. It was the sky reserved for the Dragon Tribe. Countless dragon auras gathered, forming a dragon boat that soared into the sky. There were many people standing on the dragon boat. At the front was a beautiful woman in a black dress. Her black hair was like a waterfall, and her face was exquisite. There was a trace of coldness in her eyes, as if she didn't care about anything. This person was naturally Long Yu. Beside her was Long Qing, who was dressed in green. Her beautiful eyes were filled with endless spiritual qi. Behind her was a group of experts of the dragon tribe. The laws on their bodies swept through the sky. This group of people came with a strong momentum, attracting the attention of countless people. It was the people of the dragon tribe. Fairy Long Yu had come out. Countless exclamations sounded. Chapter 5796. The second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe was also standing there. Before coming, he had already reported what had happened to Long Yu. After hearing this, Long Yu also frowned. Someone was courting death and dared to challenge them? He even dared to call himself the dragon god. Stupid thing. At that time, she had said that the dragon tribe only had one god, and that was Brother Tian. That kid dared to challenge the 10,000 dragon tribe. He was challenging Brother Tian and challenging us. When we meet him later, we'll just slap him to death. To be honest, she didn't care at all. The second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe was naturally happy. He stood on the dragon boat. At this moment, as he streaked across the sky, his eyes kept searching for Lin Xian. However, he couldn't find him. He wasn't worried. After all, that kid was attending the Chaos Wine Banquet. He would definitely find him. At that time, it would be the death of the other party. When the dragon boat arrived at the square, it didn't have any intention of landing, which shocked many people. The people of the Great Xia dynasty furrowed their brows. Next to the ninth prince, an old man snorted. The 10,000 dragon tribe is really arrogant. What do you mean? Do you not take our dynasty seriously? Another middle-aged man was also dissatisfied. Now was not the time for them to dominate the world. The ninth prince sat there with a smile on his face. He wasn't angry, although a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. However, as the host of this banquet, he still had to be magnanimous. At this moment, he smiled and said, "So it's a fellow Taoist from the Mirage Dragon tribe. Okay, Long Yu Fairy, please." He pointed to a seat on the side. Only then did Dragon Traveling Fairy lead the group of people from the dragon race to descend and proceed forward. Just as they were about to sit down, a voice sounded. Wait. This voice was loud and shook the 9 heavens, causing countless people to turn their heads. Another group of people arrived on clouds in a grandiose manner. It was the people of the Cloud Dragon tribe. The people of the Dragon tribe frowned. The second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe exclaimed, "It's that kid. It's that kid who called himself the dragon god and killed our first elder." As soon as these words were said, the people of the 10,000 dragon tribe were instantly angry. Long Yu also turned her head and stared at Lin Xian. She was shocked. What a young man! Moreover, when she stared at him, she felt a trace of uneasiness. Did he have some kind of power that made her afraid? That was impossible. Long Yu denied it in her heart. She shook her head slightly. No one could threaten her. It was absolutely impossible. What do you want? On the side of the Myriad Dragon tribe, an expert from the dragon tribe walked out and shouted coldly. The flames on his body overflowed into the heavens, enough to burn the 9 heavens. The toad jumped out and said, "It's simple. You're not qualified to sit there. Get lost." The crowd was in an uproar. The people of the Grand Xia Empire were also discussing amongst themselves. The people of the 10,000 Dragons tribe were even more furious. Impudent. We don't have the qualifications. We are all powerful beings of the dragon race. How dare a little toad challenge us? The toad snorted coldly. How can you know how powerful I am? Although I'm not from the dragon clan, I have the dragon god by my side. That position can only be given to the Dragon God throne. You guys are not qualified. The Crimson Dragon also sneered. Where is Long Yu? Tell her to get out here. She didn't dare to meet us 2 days ago. So we're here now. Come, 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 come. Ben Huang will slap her to death. The people of the Myriad Dragon tribe went crazy. Fairy Long Yu's face also darkened. She didn't quite believe what the second elder of the Thunder Dragon tribe said before. She thought that the other party was exaggerating, but now it seemed that the other party was already very conservative. These people in front of her were really too arrogant. She sneered and said, "Reckless thing! How dare you call yourself the Dragon God? Do you have the qualifications?" Long Yu snorted coldly, and the bloodline in her body erupted. Between heaven and earth, there were hundreds of dragons roaring. The endless aura pressed down on everyone, making their souls tremble. The people of the great sects and the ancient families were shocked. This Long Yu was incredible. As expected of the woman by Dragon Shout Yen's side, she was really too powerful. There was probably no one in the younger generation who could compete with her. Even the powerhouses of the older generation couldn't beat her. The people of the Grand Xia Empire also had solemn expressions. Although the Dragon tribe was arrogant, it had to be said that the Dragon tribe in this period had indeed produced many genius powerhouses. The people of the Cloud Dragon tribe felt their scalps go numb. They kept feeling that they were walking on the edge of a cliff. This time, if Lin Xian and the others couldn't resist, then they would be doomed eternally. They looked at Lin Xian. With a smile, he walked out and said, "I'm the Dragon God. Are you not convinced?" Of course not. Long Yu's eyes burst with cold-killing intent as she stared at Lin Xian. "You're not qualified." Lin Xian smiled. He stared at Long Yu, and there was also a strange light in his eyes. Then he shook his head. "You're not my match. What about Dragon Shao Tian? Tell him to get over here and fight with me." "Just you? You want to challenge Brother Tian?" Long Yu was completely angry. She wouldn't allow anyone to challenge Dragon Shao Tian. She wanted to make a move, but the powerhouse of the Fire Dragon tribe next to her could walk out. He said, "Fairy Long Yu, why do you have to do it? I'll suppress this kid. He's a Fire Dragon tribe supreme saint." "Is he holding the spear of Fire Dragon?" Countless exclamations sounded. The Fire Dragon Supreme Saint was even more terrifying than the Thunder Dragon Tribe Supreme Saint. He was even much stronger. Now that he made a move and took out the spear of Fire Dragon, it seemed that he was going to kill Lin Xian. "Kid, you'll pay for your words and actions just now." The Fire Dragon Supreme Saint stabbed out with his spear. Between heaven and earth, a dragon roar sounded. A fire dragon phantom cut through the 9 heavens and charged toward Lin Xian. The people of the Cloud Dragon tribe were scared silly. Even if all of them gathered together, they wouldn't be able to resist such power. As for Lin Xian, he merely extended a hand and made a grabbing motion. This kid was crazy. How could he block a saint weapon with his bare hands? Was it the right of a supreme saint? The people of the 1,000 Dragon tribe sneered. The people of the Great Xia dynasty were also surprised. Could it be that this person really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth? Boom! The spear of Fire Dragon, with violent power, stabbed into Lin Xian's palm. But Lin Xian's palm was unharmed. He even grabbed the spear of rat halos and broke it in half. Crack! The sound of metal breaking rang out. The incomparably powerful divine weapon, the spear of Fire Dragon, was broken in half. The Fire Dragon Supreme Saint was sent flying by this force and turned into a mist of blood. He didn't even have time to scream before he died. How could it be? The people from the Fire Dragon tribe opened their eyes wide, and their faces were filled with terror. Even Long Yu's pupils shrank. She knew the strength of the Fire Dragon Supreme Saint. In addition to the attack just now, no one among the Supreme Saints could easily block it. But now the other party had broken the divine weapon and killed the Fire Dragon Supreme Saint. Could it be that this person's strength was above that of a supreme saint? Damn it, when did such a terrifying expert appear in the human tribe? In the next moment, she seemed to have thought of something and stared at the people of the great Xia dynasty. She asked coldly, "Ninth Prince, what do you mean by this?" In her opinion, the other party should be from the great Xia dynasty in order to suppress the dragon tribe. After all, they were at the peak of their power. Although the great Xia dynasty was the overlord, it was also decadent. Chapter 5797. Ninth Prince narrowed his eyes and said, "Fairy Longyu, what do you mean?" Longyu snorted and said, "Isn't he from the great Xia dynasty? How dare you?" An elder stood up and said, "Are you doubting the great Xia dynasty? The great Xia dynasty rules the universe. How could we do such a despicable thing?" To be honest, the others also thought it was the great Xia dynasty. But at this time, Lin Xian said, "Okay, if you can't beat me, just say it. Why are you looking for excuses? Let me tell you, I'm from the Dragon Clan. I'm from the Dragon Manor. What's wrong with you? Today, I'll let you feel my Dragon Dao energy." Lin Xian roared to the sky, and the power of the dragon sword spirit burst out. Countless dragon-shaped phantoms landed beside him, and the terrifying Dragon Dao energy swept through the 9 heavens. At this moment, everyone's expression changed. The people of the Thousand Dragon Clan went crazy. It really was the Dragon Clan's energy. Damn it, was this kid from the Dragon Clan? How could this be? There was already Long Xiaotian. How could there be a second dragon god? The people of the great Xia dynasty were also shocked. Some elders frowned tightly. The luck of the Dragon Clan was too good. First there was Long Xiaotian. And now there was another peerless master. Could the rise of the Dragon Clan be unstoppable? Ninth Prince opened his fan and waved it gently. Rise? Not necessarily. Can't you see that the two sides are like fire and water? Perhaps the two dragons would fight and perish together. Let's just sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. As he laughed, he picked up the wine glass and drank it in one gulp. He said, "It seems that this young master is also from the Dragon Clan. Since it's a matter of the Dragon Clan, I won't interfere." How about this? The winner can sit in this position. The experts of the remote antiquity families around changed their expressions at the sight of Yi Fuqian. Didn't that mean that one of the two people in front was going to be slapped in the face? Long Yu represented Long Xiaotian, and now she represented the Dragon Clan. The young man who had become the dragon god was even more powerful, and his background must be shocking. Neither side was easy to provoke. Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon smiled. "Longyu, did you hear that? Hurry up and scram. You don't have the right to be here." As he spoke, he was about to take over the position. "Damn it." Longyu roared. 10,000 dragons. Listen up. Kill them all." Lin Xian, however, snorted coldly. He stretched out a large hand, and his 5 fingers transformed into 5 huge dragons that grabbed down. A gigantic hand that blotted out the sky covered the entire place, shrouding the entire 10,000 dragons tribe. How could those people from the 10,000 dragons tribe possibly withstand it? Lin Xian was the 7-time champion. Immediately, they all prostrated themselves on the ground, their faces filled with fear. The second elder of the Lightning Dragon tribe was even crazier. He was really lucky to be alive previously. "Impossible! Who are you? How could you be so strong?" The people of the Wind Dragon clan roared. The water dragons also went crazy. Why? Facing him made him feel like he was facing Dragon Xiaotian. The others were also shocked, and their hair stood on end. It seemed that no one could resist this palm, right? The 9th prince originally wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, but after seeing Lin Xian make a move, he suddenly stood up. His eyes emitted an extremely terrifying nomological law. How could the other party be so strong? He was really too shocked. As the emperor, he actually felt a huge threat. This person was too strong. Where did he come from? Why had he never noticed before? He suppressed those 10,000 dragons with one palm. Lin Xian smiled and said, "Do you think I'm qualified to be called the dragon god?" "What?" Long Yu roared. "I'm not convinced." Dragon blood erupted from her body, and a terrifying aura swept out. At the same time, a water dragon sword appeared in her hand, and she slashed at the huge hand that blotted out the sky. It had to be said that Long Yu was indeed extraordinary. As the second genius of the dragon tribe, her talent was second only to Dragon Shoutian. Moreover, she had been by Dragon Shoutian's side all year round. Whether it was combat experience or martial arts, they were all extremely strong. More importantly, the current Long Yu was already a quasi-emperor. Actually, thinking about it, this was normal. How could anyone by Dragon Shoutian's side be weak? Furthermore, Long Yu was the future Dragon Empress. That was also an existence that swept across the universe and stood at the peak of the universe. At this moment, only Lin Xian could suppress her. After being suppressed by Lin Xian, Long Yu erupted with a biting cold, killing intent. The water dragon's sword in her hand flew out, seeming like it could destroy the world. The moment this sword appeared, the surrounding great sages felt their hairs stand on end, exclaiming in shock. It looked like Fairy Long Yu had already broken through Great Sage and entered Quasi-Emperor. He wondered if the person known as the Dragon God would be able to withstand it. This sword shocked the sky, illuminating the great desolate Aeon. The 10,000 dragons, people felt hope. Perhaps Fairy Long Yu could change the situation. This sword tore through the 9 heavens, stabbing towards Lin Xian's forehead. However, just as it was about to succeed, it was blocked by 2 fingers. Lin Xian used his palm to catch this sword. How was this possible? Long Yu was dumbfounded. He dared to block her ultimate sword technique with his bare hands. How strong was he? Could it be that he had really surpassed her? Impossible! She shouted angrily, wanting to attack again. However, Lin Xian slapped her with his palm. With a smack, he hit Long Yu's face. Long Yu flew back, smashing through the void in the distance. There was a clear palm print on her face. "You dare to hit me?" Long Yu trembled in anger. All along, she had been high and mighty. No one dared to challenge her. No one had ever hit her. Even Big Brother Tian had never hit her. She couldn't take it anymore and let out a shrill cry. Dragon scales appeared on her body, and she turned into a huge dragon that charged over. That was a black dragon, and it carried with it countless black storms. There was also terrifying seawater that was sucking in everything. After turning into her true form, Long Yu's combat strength also increased exponentially. She roared angrily, "I want you to die. Do you think I don't dare to kill a dragon?" A cold, killing intent flashed in Lin Xian's eyes, as well as he struck out with his hand. The resplendent hand seemed to turn into the hand of a fire god. With a slap, the black seawater evaporated. This hand grabbed Long Yu's head and pressed down. Long Yu smashed through the void, dizzy from the impact. In the next instant, another hand slapped her body. Countless dragon scales were slapped off, and blood dyed the sky red. Long Yu was suppressed in 2 moves. She let out a shrill cry. Killing intent appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. His hands shook as he was about to tear her body apart. "No." Seeing this, Long Qing cried out in shock. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Clan went crazy. If Long Yu died, they didn't dare to imagine the consequences. Would their top genius, Long Shoutian, overturn the world? Boom. However, before they could finish thinking, Lin Xian tore Long Yu's body apart. At this moment, it seemed to turn into eternity. The people of the clan of the ancients were scared silly. Even the people of the great Xia dynasty were stunned. No way. This kid is really going to kill him. This was too crazy. Chapter 5798. This scene shocked countless people. Had Long Yu been killed? It was too unbelievable. Lin Xian, on the other hand, frowned. He coldly snorted and looked into the distance, but did not attack again. Just now, he had indeed torn apart the black dragon's body. However, he felt that Long Yu was not dead. As expected, the broken dragon's body turned into nomological laws and dissipated. In another void, Long Yu walked out. She had returned to her human form, and her face was extremely pale. Furthermore, there were many talisman symbols on her wrist that had been split in half. She was not dead. The surrounding people exclaimed in surprise. Ninth, Prince was also surprised. Could this be the legendary immortal talisman? I didn't expect you to have it. What a great opportunity. As he spoke, there was a hint of envy in his voice. The immortal talisman was a very magical rune. Legend had it that after obtaining it, it could replace one's own death. It could be said that one had an extra life. Long Yu looked at the broken immortal talisman, and her face turned ugly. This was given to her by Long Xiaotian. She only had it in her hand. To be honest, she really did not expect him to be able to kill her in an instant. In a moment of crisis, she could only take out this thing to save her life. Seeing that it had shattered, Long Yu's expression became incomparably ugly. Was such a precious thing going to be wasted just like that? Unforgivable. She stared at Lin Xian. Brat, I will make you pay the price. Lin Xian sneered. You have quite a lot of trump cards. However, how many of these immortal talismans do you have? As he spoke, he slashed out again. The biting cold sword chi was broken in half. The surrounding people went crazy. You still want to attack? How dare you? If the Dragon King comes, he will definitely not let you go. That's right. Roaring Sky Dragon King will definitely kill you. The people of the 10,000 Dragon tribe roared crazily. The Dragon King they were talking about was Long Xiaotian. At this moment, Long Xiaotian was not a great emperor and was not qualified to become an emperor, so he was called the Dragon King. So what if Long Xiaotian came? Lin Xian sneered. This was 100,000 years ago, before Long Xiaotian became a great emperor. He was not afraid. Although he knew that karma could not be reversed, Lin Xian still wanted to see if he could kill Long Yu. Facing Lin Xian's attack, Long Yu did not dare to be careless. She knew that this person's strength surpassed hers and should be comparable to Long Xiaotian. She could not believe it, but the truth was right in front of her eyes. She could only use her trump card. She took out a war chariot and quickly activated it. The war chariot turned into a beam of light and disappeared. It contained an extremely strong spatial energy. This was a space station car. Countless people were in an uproar. This dragon traveling fairy really had a lot of treasures on her. First, it was the undying talisman that replaced death once, and now it was the space war chariot. The person next to the ninth prince also said, as expected of Dragon Xiaotian's people, it was possible that these things were given to her by Dragon Xiaotian. Dragon Xiaotian had great luck. Lin Xian was also surprised. Space chariot? Amazing. I didn't expect you to have this as well. I want to see how many trump cards you have. Lin Xian used his Rinnegan, covering the sky and earth. The next moment he said, I found you. He punched out. The space war chariot kept shuttling back and forth, but it was locked down by Lin Xian. Not good. This time, Long Yu was completely stunned. She found that the other party could actually lock down the war chariot. Damn it, what kind of eyes were those? Why did they make her hair stand on end? At this critical moment, she was about to be enveloped by this punch. She could only take out a shield and block in front of her. The shield was made of white bone. From afar, it looked like the claw of a dragon, a white bone dragon claw. It was used as a shield to block in front of her. The next moment, She was sent flying and spat out blood. However, the shield did not break. Lin Xian was surprised. As expected, she still had a trump card. As expected of the person who could become the Dragon Queen in the future. She really had a lot of trump cards in her hand. Kid, let me try. The Crimson Dragon was also eager to try. Lin Xian retracted his hand and said, "Okay, you go, but be careful of her trump card. Don't worry." The Crimson Dragon roared and flew over like a dragon's shadow. A venomous snake dares to be arrogant in front of me? Long Yu was completely enraged. She slashed at the Crimson Dragon. In the end, the Crimson Dragon spat out flames that covered the sky and enveloped Long Yu. Long Yu's face darkened. Some parts of her clothes were charred black. She let out a shrill cry. You're a dragon too." She was really shocked. The others were also shocked. Lin Xian's powerful dragon, Dao aura, swept out in all directions. However, he did not expect that the snake-like thing beside him was also a dragon, and it could even fight against Long Yu. Heavens! When did the Dragon Clan have so many powerful experts? How come they did not know? They had not even heard of it. Where did these people come from? The Crimson Dragon also snickered. "Today is a chance. Let's see how Ben Huang will beat you up." As he spoke, he used all sorts of methods and turned into a 100-foot-long dragon. Long Yu turned into a black dragon once again. The two enormous creatures fought fiercely between the heavens and earth, resulting in a shocking scene. The violent energy caused the entire sky to shatter. Countless people retreated. Looking at the scene, they were dumbfounded. The people of the Great Xia dynasty also had strange expressions. The appearance of two experts from the Dragon Clan shocked them. But this scene also made them want to laugh. The Dragon Clan was actually fighting each other? Could they be the third party to benefit from this? "I'm coming too." The toad also jumped over. "Have a taste of my divine toad fist. I'll spit all over your face." The toad used all sorts of tricks one after another. Long Yu was so angry that she vomited blood. She was high and mighty. When had she ever been ambushed like this? This toad was really too sinister. Although the Crimson Dragon and the toad's strength were not as good as Lin Xian's, the two of them still suppressed Long Yu when working together. If Long Yu did not have the space chariot and the dragon claw shield, she would probably be in danger. In one day, she was suppressed by 3 people one after another. As a proud daughter of the heavens, how could Long Yu endure it? "Damn it, I don't believe it. You all have to die." Long Yu let out a shrill cry. A pillar of light pierced through the sky from her body. On it, there was a billowing blood aura. It turned into a blood-red pagoda that charged towards the toad and the Crimson Dragon. At the same time, Long Yu's cold voice rang out. "This is the treasure that Brother Tian and I brought back from hell. Let's see how you block it." The Crimson Dragon created a series of arrays, but they were all shattered by this blood-red pagoda. They were also shocked. Damn it, this woman's luck was too good. That Long Xiaotian was really a person of great fortune. Lin Xian yelled, "Come back." He used one hand to protect the two of them. His other sword flew out. This sword seemed to turn into a bone dragon, bearing its fangs and claws. This was a heaven-defying sword technique. It sent the blood-red pagoda flying. At the same time, Lin Xian stretched out his golden hand, the 9 suns' divine palm. He caught the blood-red pagoda flying towards him. He roared, "Suppress it!" The pagoda shook violently. The blood aura on it spread, wanting to envelop it. However, Lin Xian's 9 suns' divine fire was extremely strong. The blood evaporated before it could get close. "Suppress!" Lin Xian shouted angrily and punched the surface. At the same time, he used the Taiji diagram to cover it. The blood-red pagoda shook violently. However, it was still sealed and fell to the ground. The dark red divine dragon directly grabbed it and said with a smile, "Good stuff, This king will accept it without hesitation. Long Yu was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. She did have a great opportunity. To be precise, it was Long Xiaotian who had a great opportunity. She had followed Long Xiaotian to the 9 heavens, the 9 underworlds, and the underworld. They had been to the firmament and all kinds of death places. They had been to all the realms in the universe. Long Xiaotian had obtained endless treasures. As Long Xiaotian's woman, she naturally had a lot of trump cards, but now she found that her trump cards were not as good as the other parties. This young man in front of her was actually so powerful. Could it be that the other party was also a lucky person? However, there could only be one in an era. There was already Long Xiaotian. Why would the other party appear? She really couldn't understand. Chapter 57:99. Long Yu knew that she had lost today. She was no match for the other party. She had to leave quickly. Long Yu waved her hand and prepared to leave with the 10,000 dragon clan. The others exclaimed, "Are we leaving just like that?" The 10,000 dragon clan was unwilling. However, even Long Yu had been defeated. How could the others possibly be able to contend against him? Long Qing stared at Lin Xian, her beautiful eyes flashing. What a domineering man. "Do you want to leave?" The Crimson Dragon roared and waved his dragon claws. The array covered the sky and the earth. The mountain range suddenly expanded, turning into a pillar that pierced through the sky. The sky was instantly pierced through like paper. This was a sealing array. Oh no! This world seemed to be sealed. The expressions of the 10,000 dragon clan changed. They didn't expect the other party's array to be so powerful. Long Yu snorted coldly. She enlarged the space chariot under her feet and let the 10,000 dragon clan members stand on it. At the same time, she roared and put all her strength into the space chariot. Endless laws poured into the space chariot. Then it turned into a shadow and disappeared. Did she leave? The Crimson Dragon was surprised. What a magical chariot! It could actually break his array. Lin Xian also frowned. He used his Rinnegan and found that the other party had disappeared. He snorted coldly, looked around, and said, "If anyone knows Long Xiaotian, tell him that the Dragon Clan only has one god, and that is me." Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This man was really too strong. After Lin Xian finished speaking, he turned and led the others to the seats in front. He looked at Ninth Prince and smiled. "Can I sit here?" "Of course." Ninth Prince smiled and began to chat with Lin Xian, wanting to investigate Lin Xian's situation. However, after a few words, Ninth Prince found nothing. He only knew that the other party called himself the Dragon God. Where did he come from? What was his identity? He didn't know anything. Next was the Chaos Wine Banquet. This banquet was really good. He could drink chaos wine. After Lin Xian tasted it, his eyes lit up. This wine was not bad. He had to get more and prepare to bring it back to Lord Jojo. He asked the Ninth Prince, but the elders beside him said, "There's not much chaos wine." Organizing this banquet was something that had been accumulated over many years. After this banquet, it would be very difficult for ordinary people to drink the chaos wine again. After Lin Xian heard this, he nodded slightly, but he did not believe it. He secretly sent a sound transmission to Little White, asking him to get some. Xiao Bai held a wine jug and drank from it as well. Her eyes were shining. When he heard Lin Xian's words, he was so happy that he danced with joy. He hid in Lin Xian's sleeve, took out the treasure bowl, and began to search for treasures. Not long after, there were 2 pots of chaos wine in the treasure basin, followed by a few more pots. Following that, Lin Xian obtained over 100 pots. Xiao Bai's big eyes narrowed into crescents. Lin Xian waved his sleeve and quickly put away the chaos wine. Then he drank as if nothing had happened. At this moment, A few elders of the Great Xia dynasty rushed over. They were flustered and exasperated. "Your Highness, this is bad. What's going on?" The ninth prince asked. The elders hurriedly told him what had happened. "Someone is stealing our chaos wine." The people of the Great Xia dynasty were furious. The ninth prince's gaze was like a lamp as he looked around. The people of the remote antiquity families felt their scalps go numb. They all said, "It's not us." The ninth prince searched but could not find anything. He could only say, "Investigate secretly." Lin Xian was participating in the chaos wine banquet. On the other side, the people of the myriad dragon tribe had escaped from the void. "Damn it. After Long Yu came out, he roared crazily, shattering the surrounding sky." The people of the myriad dragon tribe also had ugly expressions. One of them said, "Damn it, where did that kid come from? Why didn't we know before? He's too arrogant. We must take revenge." "But we can't beat him at all." "Who said so?" "The roaring sky dragon king can definitely defeat him." "Yes, that's right. Fairy Long Yu, go and ask the roaring sky dragon king for help." Fairy Long Yu took a deep breath and calmed down. She said, "Brother Tian has something important to do now, so we can't trouble him now. But don't worry, I'll make that kid pay the price. Does he think that without Brother Tian, I can't do anything to him?" At this point, she took out a few voice transmission talismans and started to send messages. Not long after, the surrounding void darkened. A huge figure appeared, bringing with it the power of a boundary emperor. It pierced through the sky and earth. The people of the myriad dragon tribe were scared out of their wits. A boundary emperor had appeared, and it was an expert of the dragon tribe. "Great," they exclaimed. "It's the expert that Fairy Long Yu invited." From the dark clouds in the sky, an elder in a white robe walked out. A pair of dragon horns bloomed with a mysterious glow. When he arrived, he bowed. "Greetings, Fairy Long Yu. Senior, you're too polite. May I know why Fairy Long Yu is looking for me?" Water Dragon asked. Fairy Long Yu said, "There's no rush. Let's wait a little longer." Not long after, a beam of light flashed. It was like a peerless divine sword, splitting the sky and earth. Everyone felt their hair stand on end. In the next moment, a stalwart man appeared. He was covered in sword light. It was Senior Sword Dragon. Countless people bowed to him. Next, another senior of the dragon tribe came. This senior of the dragon tribe had an extremely strong flame. It was the fire dragon. The three seniors of the dragon tribe were all boundary emperors. Their strength was terrifying. All three of them were invited by Fairy Long Yu. She said, "Three seniors, someone doesn't know what's good for him." He challenged the myriad dragon tribe and challenged Brother Tian's position. He called himself the dragon god. "I think you three seniors should know what to do." "What? There's such a thing." After hearing this, the three boundary emperors of the dragon tribe frowned. They asked about it carefully and then said, "How dare you?" "What? Dragon god? How dare he call himself a god?" "That's right, we only recognize the Dragon King." Naturally, they were very clear about Long Xiaotian's talent and future. Hence, they wanted to rely on him. In the future, when Long Xiaotian became a martial emperor, they would follow him and soar. Now that someone challenged Long Xiaotian, they naturally would not allow it. "Fairy Long Yu, don't worry. The three of us will attack together and kill that brat. Thank you for your trouble. He still has two companions with extraordinary strength. However, I will use the space war chariot to separate them. We'll kill that brat called the Dragon God first. The other two are nothing to fear." Fairy Long Yu took out the space war chariot again and started to lay out spatial energy. After everything was ready, they hid. Now, they just had to wait silently until the Primal Chaos Wine Festival ended. The Primal Chaos Wine Festival lasted for half a month before it ended. Everyone was reluctant to leave. After all, being able to drink the Primal Chaos wine was a great opportunity for them. They felt like there was an additional mysterious primal chaos energy in their bodies. Whether they could absorb this energy would depend on their own strength. Let's go as well. On Lin Xian's side, he was in a very good mood. After slapping Long Yu in the face and drinking the Primal Chaos wine, he even secretly obtained more than 100 jugs of Primal Chaos wine. Now, they had to continue with their proper business, which was to search for Long Xiaotian. If they found him, they should be able to find the half-frog. Chapter 5800. Lin Xian and the others walked out of the Chaos Wine Banquet. At this moment, outside the Chaos Wine Banquet, however, there was an extremely terrifying spatial power. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian and the others. In the next moment, Lin Xian and the others disappeared. When the people of the Cloud Dragon tribe saw this scene, their expressions changed drastically. Oh no! This is the power of the Space War Chariot. The other families also exclaimed, "It seems that the 1,000 Dragon tribe is going to take revenge." Someone sneered, "I knew that the 1,000 Dragon tribe would never let this go. Fairy Yulong was high and mighty. How could she let this matter go after being slapped in the face like that?" It seemed that they were going to take revenge. The people of the Cloud Dragon tribe were full of despair. If everyone died, then the next to die would be them. Let's go and find where they are fighting. The surrounding families of the ancients were extremely excited. The battle between the Dragon tribe was definitely extremely exciting. Ninth Prince, should we make a move? Someone from the Great Xia dynasty also asked. Ninth Prince waved his folding fan and looked through the sky. He said, "No, let's just wait and see." Damn it, it's a spatial array. The Crimson Dragon roared angrily, wanting to break the array and leave. However, the surrounding void was extremely strange. The Space War Chariot was a very terrifying weapon. It came from the Primordial Age. It was left behind by a certain powerhouse in the Primordial Age. Therefore, it was not that easy to break it. On the other side, Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. Oh, are they here to take revenge? They really don't know what death is. Let's see who it is. He allowed the power of the space to envelop him. In the next instant, he arrived in a void surrounded by vast mountains. At this moment, he was already far away from the wine banquet. In front of him, there were a few terrifying figures that were quickly descending. They were experts of the Dragon tribe. Lin Xian sensed for a moment and nodded. They were definitely not great sages, but quasi-emperors. 3 quasi-emperors were charging towards him. It seemed that this era was extraordinary. There were actually so many quasi-emperors, an 8-crown king and 2 7-crown kings. As expected of the Dragon tribe, boom, the terrifying sword light illuminated the world as if the sword god had descended. At the same time, dark clouds covered the city and terrifying flames lit up the sky. The 3 figures stood in 3 different directions surrounding Lin Xian. Wherever he passed, the surrounding void would shatter continuously. A black hole would appear beneath Lin Xian's feet. After the 3 dragon race quasi-emperors came out, they released a terrifying aura, trying to use their strength to make Lin Xian kneel. However, they were destined to be disappointed. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back, suppressing heaven and earth. The surrounding black holes had all disappeared. The place where he was at was incomparably quiet. "Kid, you have some skills. You are actually so calm even when the 3 of us are working together. No wonder you dare to challenge the Dragon King." An aged voice rang out, carrying with it the terrifying might of a quasi-emperor. In the next instant, the dark clouds disappeared, and an old man in a white robe stood there. He had an extremely terrifying law of water on him. He was the water dragon quasi-emperor and was extremely powerful. He could control all the water in the world. On the other side was a mighty man. The aura of the dragon Tao spread out from this man's body. There were scales on his back that formed sharp swords that pierced the clouds. A shocking murderous aura spread out from him. The last person was surrounded by flames and had a fire dragon tail. He was like a fire god, extremely powerful. He said coldly, "So what if he is heavy? Before the three of us, he is still an ant." The fire dragon quasi-emperor had a bad temper. When he opened his eyes, heavenly fire spread out. He threw a palm strike, and flames filled the sky, as if they were going to cover the sky, making people tremble. "Great, I've stopped that kid." On the other side, in a valley, the 10,000 dragon race people were watching. There was a mirror in front of them, and on the surface of the mirror was the scene around Lin Xian. When they saw that Lin Xian was stopped by the three quasi-emperors, they all jumped up in excitement. "Let's see how this kid dies." Long Yu also snorted coldly. No matter how strong the other party is, can he beat the three quasi-emperors working together? The answer was that it was impossible. Lin Xian looked at the three and shook his head slightly. "Are there only the three of you? Too few. The three of you are no match for me at all. If there were 30 of you, I might be able to fight. If there are only the three of you, I'm afraid you will go to hell today." A cold voice rang out, causing the expressions of the three quasi-emperors to change. "This is too arrogant." Was the other party looking down on them? "I want to see how arrogant you, a self-proclaimed dragon god, can be." The fire dragon quasi-emperor shouted coldly and threw out a punch. Hundreds of fire dragons roared between heaven and earth. They were all tens of thousands of meters long and covered the sky. Lin Xian also clenched his fist. The Nine Suns' divine fist carried the power of the Nine Suns' divine fire. It swept across heaven and earth and charged toward the other party. He actually chose to take it head on. Was this kid so confident in his flames and physique? The quasi-emperors were also surprised. Soon, they realized that something was wrong. This kid's physique was actually so strong. This punch seemed to be formed by the nine heavens' divine fire. Everywhere it passed, the void shattered. The fire dragon quasi-emperor felt the suppression of the flames. The quasi-emperor's expression changed. This punch was too shocking. It was like a rainbow that could shatter everything. Boom. In the next instant, the two fists collided. Boundless fiery light swept through the nine heavens. When the 10,000 dragon race people saw this scene, they all felt guilty. Do you think the fire dragon can block it? Of course. How could a bona fide quasi-emperor fail to block the other party's fist? Just watch. That brat might be killed in a single strike. Many people clenched their teeth in anger. The flames in the nine heavens slowly disappeared. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back, uninjured. On the other side, one of the fire dragon quasi-emperor's arms was missing. His face paled. In the earlier clash, he was at a disadvantage. Gritting his teeth, the quasi-emperor said, "This kid is too strong." Everyone attacked together. The expressions of the other two quasi-emperors changed as well. The fire dragon quasi-emperor was arrogant and unruly. Even he said that. Could it be that this person was really that strong? Since that was the case, then let's attack together. The sword dragon quasi-emperor shouted coldly. Boundless sword chi surrounded the sword dragon quasi-emperor's body like a vast sea sweeping out for thousands of kilometers, tearing the world apart. Chop! The sword dragon quasi-emperor roared, and boundless sword chi surged out, surging for thousands of kilometers as it charged towards Lin Xian. On the other side, the water dragon quasi-emperor also sent out a vast sea, filling the sky with rain. Each drop of rain contained a powerful law that could kill the other party. The fire dragon quasi-emperor also attacked sending out the 8 desolate flame dragon picture. At this moment, the 3 quasi-emperors completely erupted. Everyone within thousands of kilometers looked up at the sky, at the primal chaos wine festival. The people of the ancient noble clans were still searching. However, when they saw this scene, they finally confirmed that Xiao Qin was there. They all charged over. The people of the skyscraper dynasty also prepared to watch the battle. That was the aura of the dragon race. 3 dragon race holy emperors against that brat. It's over. That dragon god is dead for sure. Ha! No matter how strong he is just one person. The 10,000 dragon race has the Dragon King, so their accumulations are extremely deep. How can he block them? Chapter 58:01. Looking at the scene in front of them. Everyone sighed. They knew that Lin Xian was dead for sure. However, Lin Xian was unmoved. He stood there, and as his eyes opened and closed, the power of reincarnation erupted. At the same time, he took out a sword, the immortal slaying sword which was rumored to have killed immortals. Sword Qi flew, a heaven-defying sword technique. The sword illuminated the 9 heavens, and the terrifying sword Qi formed terrifying cracks that spread out in all directions. The rain that filled the sky was completely destroyed by this force. Under this sword, the nomological mystical abilities of the 3 quasi-emperors all shook. Then cracks appeared. Boom! The 3 mystical abilities shattered, and the 3 quasi-emperors were sent flying, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. At the critical moment, they took out their weapons, the 3 quasi-emperor weapons. These were weapons that they had carefully refined, and their power had already surpassed that of a sage weapon. With the quasi-emperor weapons, their strength would increase exponentially. Quasi-emperor Jianlong took out a sword. The true dragon sword was completely made of dragon scales. He had searched for the dragon scales of countless ancient dragon race experts and forged it. At this moment, the quasi-emperor weapon erupted with a vast dragon might and slashed forward. True dragon, slash. A peerless sword technique. How terrifying! The clan of the ancients that had rushed over were shocked. It's over. However, the people of the dragon race laughed. Good. This sword will kill him. Lin Xian shook his head. Sword techniques are not used like this. Let me tell you what a true peerless sword technique is. Lin Xian waved the immortal slaying sword again, and sword light overflowed, completely destroying the world. His opponent's swordsmanship had transformed into a real dragon, while Lin Xian's swordsmanship had transformed into a divine dragon. The heaven-defying sword technique used the same attack as the opponent to destroy the opponent. As soon as this divine dragon appeared, it cut through the sky and covered the world, colliding with the true dragon. The 2 dragons roared, and the true dragon let out a wail as it was torn in half by a claw. No! Quasi-emperor Jianlong screamed. His true dragon sword was split in half. Not only that, but he was also split in half, and his body and soul were destroyed. Was he dead? Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. A quasi-emperor had died. How was this possible? The people from the dragon race roared crazily. The strength of the sword dragon quasi-emperor was so terrifying that it surpassed the heavens and earth. How could he have been killed so easily? Fairy Long, you clenched your fists tightly. She could not believe it either. Sword dragon, the fire dragon and the water dragon, the 2 quasi-emperors roared crazily. Their expressions turned incomparably unsightly. All of them unleashed their strongest attacks. They all used their respective ultimate skills. What Huolong took out was a diagram, the real Huolong diagram. It was something that he had nurtured in his body for several thousand years. It was something that he had refined using the meridians of generations of fire dragons. It was also a quasi-emperor weapon. As for the water dragon, it took out a cloud, which contained the terrifying water of a dragon. Kill the two of them used their ultimate moves, not giving each other any chance. Lin Xian, on the other hand, swung his sword twice in a row. It was indestructible. The two quasi-emperor weapons shattered. The two quasi-emperors were also destroyed in their hearts and souls. After 3 sword strikes, the 3 quasi-emperors of the dragon race fell. 3 cracks appeared in the world, blood rained down, and the world mourned. The 10,000 dragon race people were so frightened that they knelt on the ground. They had gone crazy. Long Yu also trembled. How could Lin Xian be so powerful? Just what level had the other party's strength reached? Was he really the dragon god? When the ancient noble clans at the Primal Chaos Wine Festival saw this, they also felt their scalps go numb. The people of the Great Xia dynasty had originally been prepared to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. However, from the looks of it now, this was a complete suppression. This dragon god was probably an even greater threat to them than Long Xiaotian. Was the other party going to rise up in the world? This was not the end. It was just the beginning. After Lin Xian killed the 3 quasi-emperors, he collected all their storage rings. Then he executed the Rinnegan, and a godlike "I covered the world." At the same time, he threw 2 heaven-defying punches, sweeping out for 5,000 kilometers. Like a godlike punch, it shattered the void in the distance. The toad and the crimson dragon came out and jumped over. Lin Xian executed the Rinnegan again and locked onto the position of the 10,000 dragon race. He stretched out a huge hand that covered the sky and grabbed toward the distance. That hand turned into 5 divine dragons, roaring at the sky. There were invisible laws on them: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. They turned into 5 elemental dragons, enveloping the entire valley. The mountains and forests around the valley were shattered. The void above the valley was filled with cracks. In the valley, the dragon race cultivators felt their scalps go numb. Their faces were filled with horror. If this palm landed, probably not many of them would be able to escape, right? Fairy Long Yu. They all looked at Long Yu. Long Yu's expression also turned ugly. The 3 quasi-emperors had been killed. She could not resist at all. Now, she could only take the space war chariot and escape. However, the space war chariot's spatial array that she had used earlier was now slightly weaker. She could not take so many people with her. In the end, she gritted her teeth and took her sister into the space war chariot, disappearing. No, the other members of the 10,000 dragon race were in despair. Did Fairy Long Yu not care about them? Then how could they resist? Please stop, we are willing to submit. An old man of the 10,000 dragon race knelt on the ground and kept roaring. The others also shouted, "Yes, we are willing to submit." They did not want to be killed. Lin Xian's hand paused in midair. He looked down at Lin Xian like a god. "Oh, so you've submitted?" "That's right, we are willing to submit." In the valley, everyone knelt. Lin Xian laughed. "Well, from now on, you will respect me, the dragon god. Now I will give you a chance. Gather your clan's resources and dragon veins for me. Don't try to escape. Under my eye technique, none of you can escape." "We know," the people below hurriedly said. In order to save their lives, they were willing to give up everything. Lin Xian's 5 elements palm disappeared. The people of the 10,000 dragon race heaved a sigh of relief. They hurried back and moved the dragon veins of their clan over. Lin Xian's lips curled up. He would collect these dragon veins and preserve them for 100,000 years. After 100,000 years, how terrifying would his power be? The battle ended like this. The dragon race returned in defeat. Long Yu fled in panic, and the 3 quasi-emperors were killed. The news quickly spread in all directions. For a time, the people of the true spirit world were shocked. Even the heavens were in an uproar. Because of this, they exclaimed, "Was there an incredible genius of the dragon race in the Middle Continent? He actually called himself the Dragon God. Heavens, did he not put Long Xiaotian in his eyes? Very long you returned in defeat. What would the great Xia Empire do? One after another, exclamations of surprise and doubt were heard. Many people were excited. Now Long Xiaotian was like the sun in the sky, and basically no one was his opponent. Now, was there finally someone who was going to challenge Long Xiaotian? That would be a battle of dragons. The people of the great Xia Empire were also shocked, as if they were facing a great enemy. The ninth prince's face was extremely solemn. He hurried back to the empire. He had to report this matter personally. Chapter 58:02 Zhongzhou. This was the land of the great Xia dynasty. Everything under the emperor's rule had submitted to him. The fairy palace was where Emperor Xia resided. Only he had the right to be here. If anyone else wanted to come, they would have to report to him. If he didn't agree, no one could enter. Right now, outside the flying immortal palace, the ninth prince was kneeling and respectfully greeting his father. "Father, I have something to report," Prince Jiu said quickly. A loud voice came from the fairy palace. "Jiu, you can leave now. I know what happened. I will go there personally." Prince Jiu was shocked. A young man was worthy of his father's personal visit. He is not ordinary. I have tried to divine him before, but I couldn't. His heavenly secrets are very mysterious. So I want to meet him personally. After Emperor Xia finished speaking, he left. His royal aura spread for 30,000 miles, carrying him like a god on a journey. At this moment, countless creatures prostrated themselves on the ground. "Farewell, father." Prince Jiu also bowed deeply. Although he was confused, he calmed down. His father was a real emperor. With his father's help, there was nothing in the world that couldn't be settled. Zhongzhou, Dragon Valley. Previously, the 23 dragon veins under the valley were all absorbed by Lin Xian and the others. But now, they became mysterious again. Previously, Lin Xian had suppressed the 10,000 dragons tribe and made them submit to him. Now, the 10,000 dragons tribe had sent all of their dragon veins over. In the Dragon Valley, the dragon veins were extremely powerful. That aura caused all the nearby demonic beasts to roar in excitement. Some monsters even gathered a terrifying monster army and started to attack crazily. In the end, the Crimson Dragon and the Toad fought and killed a few powerful monsters. The other monsters didn't dare to come anymore. They could only roar from afar. Rich. This time, they really made a fortune. The Crimson Dragon's eyes were wide open. The Toad said, "Ha, do you think I will become a dragon toad after absorbing all this dragon aura?" The Crimson Dragon looked at it with disdain. "You are at most a toad. I've heard of bullfrogs, but not dragon frogs. That's not necessarily true. Just because no one has done it before doesn't mean that I can't do it." The Toad said. Lin Xian said, "That's right. What our predecessors couldn't do doesn't mean that we can't do it. Anything was possible." The 3,000 dragon veins here made Lin Xian extremely excited. He took out 1,000 dragon veins and placed them in the sword world. As for the remaining 2,000 dragon veins, Lin Xian was prepared to hide them properly. 100,000 years later, it would definitely bring him a miracle. Of course, he had to think about it carefully. After all, there were too many variables in 100,000 years. It would be bad if all his efforts went in vain. "Don't worry about that for now. Let's cultivate for a while first." The Toad and the Crimson Dragon quickly jumped into the dragon vein to absorb it. Lin Xian and Little White also went in. They crazily absorbed the dragon veins. He felt as if his entire body was changing. Of course, it was still not easy to achieve a breakthrough. After all, Lin Xian was already the Seven-Crown King. Moreover, he had many unique skills. The power he needed to achieve a breakthrough was probably several times that of others. Suddenly, Lin Xian's expression changed. With a wave of his hand, a black vortex appeared. It swallowed everything. The Crimson Dragon said, "Kid, what's going on?" He felt a powerful message that surpassed that of a quasi-emperor. Could it be? Lin Xian was surprised. Before he could finish speaking, he saw a golden light forming a great Tao that covered the sky. Then, a figure stood in the sky. No matter what, this figure was like a peerless god standing between heaven and earth. Everything was revealed at once. Lin Xian could also feel a powerful force pressing down on him, making him want to kneel down and kowtow. He was shocked, and his pupils shrank. This power was the great emperor. The great emperor of this era could only be Emperor Xia of the great Xia dynasty. The other party had appeared and was looking for him. Why? Was it because he was a threat? Lin Xian was facing a great enemy. The dragon in his body roared and formed a backbone, preventing him from kneeling down. At the same time, he secretly held the swallowing heaven jar tightly. If there was any attack, he would immediately defend. He bowed. "Greetings, Emperor Xia." Emperor Xia's eyes were like a lamp looking down. "Impressive, young man. I have only seen two people who can see me without kneeling down. The first is Long Xiaotian, and the second is you." Lin Xian was surprised after hearing this. He did not kneel because he had many trump cards in his body. He had the dragon sword spirit and the swallowing heaven jar. Long Xiaotian did not kneel when he saw the great emperor. This meant that Long Xiaotian also had many trump cards. No wonder he was able to become the dragon emperor. He was indeed powerful when he was young. Lin Xian knew that every person who had become a martial emperor had been the strongest genius in the world during their time. Long Xiaotian could not be underestimated. Lin Xian said, "Senior, you flatter me. May I know what you are here for?" "I came to see you," Emperor Xia said in a deep voice. As he spoke, countless lotuses appeared. This was probably the legendary lotus spitting from the mouth. Every word and action carried the supreme law, which was shocking. Lin Xian was even more surprised after hearing this. "See me?" He was not a peerless beauty. What was there to see? Emperor Xia's eyes flickered. He seemed to be discussing Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt his hair stand on end. It was as if the secret on his body had been seen through. Fortunately, he had the sword world. He had placed some secrets in the sword world. Thinking about it, even the great emperor could not see through it. Some time ago, I observed the sky at night and found a meteor that seemed to interfere with the heavenly secrets. At that time, I calculated it, but I did not manage to deduce it. However, the day after the meteor appeared, you seem to have appeared. At first, your appearance did not attract my attention, but later you showed strong strength and rose like a comet. I began to deduce you. However, I couldn't deduce you. You seemed to have a power that covered the heavenly secrets. Even Long Xiaotian did not seem to have this. So, I am very curious. Who are you? After Lin Xian heard this, he was shocked. As expected of the great emperor, his strength was strong enough. When he arrived, the other party noticed him. Fortunately, the other party did not make a move. Otherwise, the situation would be troublesome. At the same time, he also sighed. The other party could not detect his heavenly secrets because he came from 100,000 years later. Long Xiaotian was strong, but after all, he was a person of this era and had not yet become an emperor. Emperor Xia could naturally deduce it. However, he was different. He did not belong to this era. Junior, Lin Wudi, is from the true spirit world. Lin Wudi? Emperor Xia was stunned. This title seemed to be even more arrogant than Long Xiaotian. Long Xiaotian called himself the king of 10,000 dragons. However, that was only the king of the dragon clan. And this invincible, did it mean that he was invincible in the universe? As for what the other party said about being in the true spirit world, Emperor Xia did not believe it. However, Lin Xian was right. He was indeed a person who grew up in the true spirit world. It was just that he was a person from 100,000 years later. He did not say this, and Emperor Xia probably did not guess it. Chapter 5803. Emperor Xia felt that Lin Xian was very mysterious. He looked at him carefully for a long time, which made Lin Xian's hair stand on end. At this time, Emperor Xia said, "Young man, are you willing to be my disciple?" When he heard these words, Lin Xian was stunned as well, acknowledging the other party as his master. To be honest, if this condition spread throughout the universe, anyone would immediately kneel down and worship Emperor Xia as their master. This was a great emperor. If he worshipped the great emperor as his master, his future would be limitless. However, Lin Xian hesitated. "What? Young man, are you not willing?" Emperor Xia was also stunned. What kind of joke was this? He had put down his face and personally accepted the other party as his disciple. How could the other party refuse? However, it seemed that the other party was really going to refuse. If the other party refused, what would happen to his face? "Young man, do you know the benefits of worshipping me as your master?" Lin Xian said, "Thank you, Emperor Xia, for your kindness. However, I already have a master, so forgive me for not being able to worship you as my master." Did he really refuse? Emperor Xia was stunned. Many people in the universe crazily wanted such an opportunity, but now he had given it to the other party, and the other party could easily refuse. Was he not charming enough? Was he not strong enough? What kind of joke was this? Even that dragon Xiaotian was just an ant-like existence in his eyes. He was the emperor. He was the emperor who stood at the peak of the universe. The other party actually refused. Emperor Xia's expression was not very good. However, Lin Xian did not struggle on this issue. He was a person from 100,000 years in the future and could not stay here for too long. He asked, "Senior, do you know about half a frog?" Emperor Xia frowned. "What half a frog? Even if it's a frog, I don't care about it." "No, that's not it. This frog is a half-step sovereign. It's half of a sovereign's body. I came here to find him." "Senior, you really don't know? Half a great emperor. How could it be possible? How could there be a great emperor in this era?" Emperor Xia was stunned. Could it be that some ancient existence had awakened? His era of being an emperor could last for 10 to 20,000 years. During this process, no one was able to become a martial monarch. Of course, there was an exception, and that was if the previous martial monarch woke up. This way, his great Tao could not suppress the other party. From the looks of it, that half-frog should be some ancient existence. If it's not on your side, then it must be on Long Xiaotian's side. Lin Xian took a deep breath. "Senior, do you know the whereabouts of Long Xiaotian? I must find him. If he teamed up with half-frog, it would be dangerous. Long Xiaotian? What kind of storm could he raise? Right now, he was only the seven-crown king." Lin Xian shook his head and said, "The origin of that half-frog is very powerful. Senior, have you heard of Higgin?" This time, the Xia emperor was truly stunned. He sucked in a breath of cold air. "You know about Higgin?" To be honest, he was too shocked. The heavenly emperor wasn't the only one who knew about the Permitha. How did these youngsters know about it? Could it be that he's also from a great emperor's sect? It seems like you're an incredible descendant. Is it Higgin? It does exist. Even I'm not very clear about it. Long Xiaotian's aura has already risen. However, even if I make a move, there won't be many chances. Therefore, I can't make a move easily. However, if you want to make a move against Long Xiaotian, I can help you. I'll deduce the heavenly secrets and send you over. Thank you, Senior." After hearing this, Lin Xian's face lit up with joy. Next, the Xia emperor waved his hand. and a compass appeared in the void to deduce the heavens and the earth. Not long after, the Xia Emperor said, "I found it. I'll send you over." With a wave of his sleeve, Lin Xian was enveloped and sent into the compass. In the starry sky of the universe, buried Earth Star was already a very mysterious place 100,000 years ago. At this moment, many people from the Dragon Clan had arrived. The leader was naturally Long Yu. Some of the people from the Dragon Clan were here for the first time. Looking around, they exclaimed, "This is the legendary hidden Emperor Star, where countless great emperors are buried. The aura here is indeed mysterious. Is the Dragon King here?" These people from the Dragon Clan were shocked. They hadn't seen Long Xiaotian in a long time. Long Yu said, "That's right. Big Brother Tian told me to come here to find him. Let's go. Big Brother Tian is sending me a message." She took out a transmission bell and listened to Long Xiaotian's message. However, they kept flying until they finally arrived above the sea. At this moment, the seawater parted, and a figure walked out. It was a man with a handsome face and a noble aura. Although he looked young, he was like a high and mighty king who could look down on the common people. As soon as he appeared, the people from the Dragon Clan all knelt on one knee. "Greetings, Dragon King." This person was Long Xiaotian. "Rise." Long Xiaotian waved his hand, and then looked at Long Yu. "You're injured?" A trace of gentleness appeared in his eyes. Long Xiaotian would probably only show such gentleness in front of Long Yu. Usually, he was a supreme existence who killed decisively. Long Yu also smiled, and her eyes were no longer noble. She said softly, "Big Brother Tian, I'm fine. It's just a small injury. However, there's a guy who's too despicable. This time, you have to personally teach him a lesson." Long Xiaotian said, "Is it the person who injured you?" Long Yu nodded. "He calls himself the Dragon God and wants to rule the entire Dragon Clan. He's too despicable." Dragon God? When Long Xiaotian heard this, he frowned and sneered. What an arrogant thing. He dares to call himself a god of the Dragon Clan? Is he looking down on me? When I'm done here, I want to see with my own eyes who's so arrogant. Long Xiaotian was so angry that he laughed. He didn't even dare to call himself a god. Who dared to be more arrogant than him? You don't have to wait that long. I'm already here. Suddenly, a voice rang out in the sky, and the earth cracked. At the same time, a terrifying sword intent exploded. It seemed to be able to destroy the sky. At this moment, the sea rolled. The people from the Dragon Clan were so scared that their scalps went numb. Their bodies trembled as they looked up at the sky. Damn it, what happened? The Dragon God was here. Long Yu's expression changed. That voice was so familiar. Could it be the other party? She looked up and saw that the void seemed to be torn apart by a pair of heavenly hands. A terrifying black hole appeared, and from within, an extremely powerful sword intent came. It was incomparably sharp and invincible. Then a figure appeared in the sky. He was like a sword god looking down on the world. Was it that kid? Long Yu's expression became incomparably serious. She couldn't see clearly because the other party's sword intent was too strong. It blocked her soul from probing. Long Xiaotian pulled Long Yu behind him. At the same time, he took a step forward. The aura of the Tao of dragons erupted from him. He was like an immortal as he soared into the sky. The two forces collided, tearing apart the sky. A merciless storm pierced through the sea. What a powerful aura. Dragon Xiaotian frowned. Is that him? Long Yu said, I'm not sure. I can't see his face clearly, but I remember his voice. It should be that dragon god. Chapter 5804. You're the guy who calls himself the dragon god. Long Xiaotian looked up at the sky. Endless power erupted from his body, piercing through heaven and earth. The surrounding void was constantly shattering unable to withstand his pressure at all. Lin Xian, who was in the sky, also narrowed his eyes when he sensed the other party's aura. 7 Crown King's cultivation? It was the same as him. That was good. A battle of the same level was just what he wanted. Let me see what ability you, the first place of the dragon transformation battle, have. Lin Xian was also filled with battle intent. His gaze fell, carrying the power of reincarnation. It was like a peerless divine sword. It slashed directly at Long Xiaotian. How arrogant! The surrounding dragon race people were furious. How dare he attack Long Xiaotian? Did he not know what death was? However, when they sensed that gaze, they began to retreat nonstop. How terrifying! Just by looking at him, he was already so terrifying. Then, how terrifying would his true strength be? They did not dare to imagine. This dragon god was actually so strong. Long Yu was also stunned. Could it be that he was the same as Brother Tian and had reached 7 Crown King? She did not dare to imagine that there was such a terrifying existence in the younger generation. Moreover, the other party was from the dragon race. Long Xiaotian snorted coldly. His eyes also exploded with endless light. His eyes were like the sun and moon, emitting a vision of heaven and earth. It collided with Lin Xian's reincarnation power. The surrounding sky and earth cracked. Then Dragon Xiaotian roared angrily and rushed towards Jiutian to kill. 10,000 dragon fist. His fists danced in the air with boundless power. On his fist, the aura of the dragon Dao surged, as if it had turned into a true dragon, sweeping through heaven and earth. Lin Xian also punched. He used the 9 Suns divine fist. On the golden fist, divine fire danced, as if it had turned into the sun. The battle between the two shook heaven and earth. In an instant, it was like 2 gods colliding. The entire sea was torn in 2. The others also retreated in horror. The dragon race people retreated far away, their faces filled with shock. I wonder how this battle will go. Long Yu snorted coldly. Is there a need to think? Brother Tian would definitely win. After one blow, countless black holes appeared in the sky. Lin Xian and Long Xiaotian retreated. So valiant. Lin Xian was shocked, as expected of the person who would become the Dragon Emperor in the future. Now, 7 Crown King strength was already so terrifying. One had to know how terrifying Lin Xian was. Now, his opponent was able to fight evenly with him. It can be imagined that when Long Xiaotian was young, how heaven-defying was. On the other side, Long Xiaotian was equally shocked. He was the pride of this era. He was destined to become a great emperor in the future. In the younger generation, no one was a match for him. In fact, even the older generation could not suppress him. In this era, there were not many people who could give him pressure. But now a young man had appeared and made him feel as if he was facing a great enemy. How could he not be shocked? Fight! Long Xiaotian rushed over again, his body, endless dragon breath around. With a single finger, tens of thousands of dragons coiled around it, forming a single finger that pointed forward. This finger kept attacking, and the void was filled with dazzling light. Ha ha! Good one! Lin Xian used the heaven-defying fist. When he punched out, the terrifying power caused the dragon tribe members in the distance to tremble in fear. The two fought again. In the blink of an eye, over 100 moves had passed, and it was difficult to determine the victor. How could it be like this? Long Yu was stunned. Usually, when Long Xiaotian fought, he would kill in an instant. Even if the opponent was strong, he would be able to finish the battle within 30 moves. Now, after 100 moves, it was still difficult to determine the victor. Was this person already so terrifying to such an extent? Long Xiaotian's face was cold. Damn it. He waved his hand, and a dragon spear appeared in his hand. This dragon spear was made of the dragon tendons of an ancient dragon. It was abnormally terrifying and blood red. There was also dragon blood circling it. The moment it appeared, its killing intent covered the sky. It caused the surrounding mountains to shatter, and the sea to split open. One could imagine how terrifying this weapon was. Was he using a weapon? Brother Tian was really angry. In the distance, Long Yu exclaimed. Those from the dragon tribe were elated as well. It seemed like this battle was about to end. Kid, I have to admit that you are very strong. Although I don't know where you came from, I have no patience. But I've run out of patience. You can go to hell. With a spear in hand, Long Xiaotian's aura became stronger again. Lin Xian also took out the god-slaying sword. That long sword was like a peerless blade, and the killing intent on it also swept across the land. Come, I have never lost in a battle of the same level. So, Long Xiaotian was ready to taste the taste of defeat. Qinquan sword technique. Lin Xian waved the god-slaying sword, and sword chi surrounded it. Everything in the world was a sword, and the sea below turned into a terrifying sword of the sea. It covered the sky and the earth and charged over. Get lost! The spear was like a dragon. The sword of the sea below brought great pressure to Long Xiaotian. Long Xiaotian quickly waved his long spear, and like a real dragon, he tore the sea apart. At the same time, he quickly charged towards Lin Xian. A spear pierced towards Lin Xian's head. However, the god-slaying sword blocked in front of him. With a clang, the two weapons collided, and they retreated again. They were evenly matched again. The two sides fought again. Lin Xian's Qinquan sword technique was stronger than before. That sword chi appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Everything could be turned into a sword, and it was impossible to guard against. Long Xiaotian's dragon spear was also incomparably domineering, and the majestic power could blast everything away. Only Lin Xian would be able to contend against him. If it was any other Seven-Crown King, they would have died long ago. Not to mention Seven-Crown King. Even Eight-Crown King could not block it. Perhaps only Nine-Crown King would be able to resist it. These two people were both peerless geniuses. One swept through everything 100,000 years ago, and the other was invincible 100,000 years later. The two collided at this moment, and it was really a fierce battle. It was exciting to the extreme. Damn it, Long Xiaotian's expression was ugly. To be honest, he could not bear it. He had been invincible in this era for too long, and he did not allow anyone to challenge him. 300 moves, and he had not taken down the other party. He could not wait any longer. He would use his trump card, Ancient War Dragon. His palm formed a seal and struck toward the sky. Endless cracks covered the sky, and a terrifying array formation appeared. Then the figure of a war dragon appeared from inside. That war dragon carried endless battle intent, as if it was a peerless war god. When it appeared, it swept through everything. Kid, go to hell. The war dragon's claws covered the sky and pressed down. Lin Xian's expression changed. What a terrifying power. Heaven-defying art, heaven-defying sword. He took a deep breath, and the sound of a dragon's roar came from his body. Dragon-shaped sword chi flew out. Divine dragon, slash. The immortal slaying sword in his hand seemed to have turned into a divine dragon, colliding with the war dragon in the sky. The two behemoths clashed. The divine dragon swung its tail, and it was so powerful that it actually sent the war dragon flying. The war dragon was suppressed, and it shattered the world, letting out a series of angry roars. Long Xiaotian's face was also pale, and he took a few steps back. He was dumbfounded. What a terrifying dragon aura. Who exactly are you? Chapter 5805. Seeing Long Xiaotian's flustered and exasperated look, Lin Xian laughed loudly. He said, "From now on, the Dragon Clan will respect me. You are the Dragon King, and I am the Dragon God. Submit to me, Long Xiaotian. Are you dreaming? Long Xiaotian snorted coldly. He used a variety of unique skills, riding the clouds and mist, moving mountains and filling the sea. All kinds of peerless abilities emerged one after another. This was the ancient and modern techniques that he had mastered on Lin Xian's side. He also used the heaven-defying art to fight against it. At first, the people of the Dragon Clan had placed their hopes on Long Xiaotian. The ancient scripture that Long Xiaotian had mastered was very terrifying, but now they did not expect that Lin Xian also had such a terrifying unique skill, the ancient scripture, especially the other party's sword technique. It was even sharper. Another 100 moves passed. At this time, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Long Xiaotian, I have already seen your ancient scripture and the magical powers of the Dragon Clan. Do you have any other unique skills? If not, then I will send you on your way. As his voice fell, the light of the immortal slaying sword in his hand became more and more terrifying. The sword chi slashed out, as if it could really destroy first. Long Xiaotian snorted coldly. The dragon spear in his hand waved, making a sky-shaking sound, colliding with the other party's sword chi. His face became a little ugly. This was a person he could not defeat, which made him go crazy. He had lived for so long and had never met such a person. If it was Emperor Xia who made him feel like he was facing a great enemy, then he would accept it. After all, Emperor Xia was a true emperor. But now, this person was in the same realm as him. In the same realm, there was someone he could not defeat. How could he become an emperor in the future? On Lin Xian's side, he attacked again. A sword slash, like a flying immortal, breaking the void. Long Xiaotian used his dragon spear to block, but was still sent flying. Brother Tian. When Long Yu and the others in the distance saw this scene, they all exclaimed. Their faces became incomparably ugly. Was Brother Tian suppressed and at a disadvantage? No, they felt that the sky had collapsed. How could this kid's swordsmanship be so terrifying? Dragon Xiaotian gritted his teeth and stared at Lin Xian. What a strong attack. Is it possible that you are using the great dragon sword? He was very clear. Among the 5 swords of the world, there was one sword that was closely related to the Dragon Clan. That was the great dragon sword. Dragon Xiaotian had always hoped that he could find the great dragon sword. In this way, his combat strength would reach an incredible level. No one could be his opponent anymore. However, the great dragon sword was simply too mysterious. He had traversed the entire universe but had yet to find it. Who would have thought that a young man would actually possess the great dragon sword? Lin Xian sneered. It seems that you're quite knowledgeable. That's right, the great dragon sword. What do you think? Does it feel good? Damn it, don't think that you can win just because you have the great dragon sword. I've never lost to anyone in the same realm. Long Xiaotian roared. His hand grasped the void. The void collapsed. A purple pagoda appeared in the void and was grabbed by Long Xiaotian. As soon as the purple pagoda appeared, it emitted bursts of thunder. There was an illusion of a purple dragon circling above the pagoda. Between heaven and earth, purple lightning constantly swept. When they saw this scene, Long Yu and the others all exclaimed, "Purple Dragon Pagoda. Brother Tian, are you going to use this weapon?" The people of the Myriad Dragon Clan were also shocked. Had the Dragon Emperor reached such a level? The Purple Dragon Pagoda was very terrifying. It was one of Long Xiaotian's trump cards, holding the Purple Dragon Pagoda in his hand. Long Xiaotian's eyes erupted with an extremely cold light. Then he quickly rushed over. The purple dragon above the Purple Dragon Pagoda charged towards Lin Xian with the power of thunder and lightning. At the same time, he waved the dragon spear in his hand, restraining the god-slaying sword. Kid, feel the power of the Purple Dragon Pagoda. Lin Xian was also very surprised. As expected of Long Xiaotian, he was indeed powerful. Previously, the other party had displayed a powerful ancient scripture. If Lin Xian had not been fighting all the way and created the heaven-defying art, it would have been difficult for him to resist. Now the other party had begun to use his weapon again. The dragon spear was very powerful, and this purple dragon pagoda also gave him a kind of threat. However, his trump card was not weak either. With a wave of his hand, the universe ring appeared in his hand. He waved it forward. Boom! A silver light streaked across and hit the purple dragon pagoda. The lightning that filled the sky was shattered. The purple dragon illusion was also instantly destroyed. The purple dragon pagoda shook violently, and the surrounding sky and earth cracked. The purple dragon pagoda flew out, and the universe ring also returned to Lin Xian's hand. Your trump card is not that good either? Lin Xian sneered. Long Xiaotian was completely stunned. How was this possible? The other party actually blocked the purple dragon pagoda. One had to know that this purple dragon pagoda was not easy for him to obtain. This was a treasure left behind by an expert of the ancient era, the purple dragon. Even now, he had not fully grasped it. However, the power of the purple dragon lightning on it was enough to destroy everything. He had once used this thing to kill the Nine-Crown King. Could it be that he still could not do anything to the other party now? What was that golden ring of light? Damn it. How did the other party also have such a terrifying trump card? It was useless. Lin Xian shook his head. You are not my match at all. Submit. Long Xiaotian was silent. To be honest, he still had many trump cards in his hand. Just those weapons alone were quite a few. However, even the purple dragon pagoda was easily blocked. Thus, it would be very difficult for his weapons and skills to be of any use. Therefore, he had to take out something even more powerful. He thought for a long time and seemed to have made some kind of decision. Kid, you are very strong. It can be said that you are the strongest person I have met in my journey. Now, there are two people who have shocked me. The first is Emperor Xia. He is the strongest person of this era. The second is you. In a battle of the same level, I have never met such a powerful expert. However, you have completely angered me. To be able to die in my hands, you can be proud of yourself for the rest of your life. What was Brother Tian going to do? Could it be that he could not use that weapon? That weapon was really too dangerous. Long Yu was stunned. Could it be that Brother Tian had other ways to kill the other party? How could this person be so terrifying? Did he still have a trump card? Long Xiaotian, then take it out. Otherwise, you will not have a chance. This time, Long Xiaotian's expression was incomparably serious. He floated the purple dragon pagoda above his head, and then formed a seal with both hands. In front of him, a black aura appeared, forming a fog. Inside, a wave of death energy spread out. The surroundings instantly became barren. What a terrifying aura of death. Lin Xian's expression was incomparably serious. This thing actually brought about a threat to his life. This Long Xiaotian was really strong. Just what was this thing? He looked forward and his Rinnegan bloomed. In the next moment, he was stunned. The Death God Lamp. How did the other party have this thing? You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.